everybody, welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. Sorry for the delay. There was supposed to be a video dropping, but it is stuck in processing, so it will probably be dropped at some point in the process of us being live here, and I'll just give you guys the link after the show, and you guys can head over there. I should be able to link it to the show during, well, we're still live, shouldn't I, Culture? I can do that kind of stuff, can't
I? Sure.
Yeah. You don't link it to the end of the show or whatever? Or wait, I was going to do that for Nick's show. Never mind.
Yeah,
I forgot to do that yet too. But anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. We have Culture Casino, as I just talked to, and we also have Nick Weiser. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Hail to the chat. Hail to the mods. Thank you all for being here. We got some fascinating topics to talk about, and it's not just the whole G4 thing. This, with the whole Superman Return and what's coming out now with the reviews on Black Adam, this could be another week in paradise for DC fans.
Who are they?
Was that Script laughing?
My
I don't
evil
think I've ever
laugh.
heard Script laugh like that before.
Wow, that's actually good.
Oh my God, he thinks I
That
think he's
was good.
becoming the Joker. Holy shit!
Oh, just a mad scientist.
Valiant, you got the link if you're available. But yeah, well, there's some DC news we're gonna get into, and we got 70s rock fan here as well as Script Doctor. How you doing?
Good
I'm
afternoon,
doing
everybody.
well. I am very looking
Both of
forward to
you.
this weekend. How are you doing, 70s and everybody else?
I'm doing awesome, my Canadian friend, my fellow Canadian.
Mhm.
Yeah, we got the two Canadians on the end there. And then, of course, speaking of Superman returning, we have our comic book aficionado here. Klobby Times, how you doing?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, buddy. I'm good to see you, good pals on the panel, and you're wonderful people in the chat, and ready to have some fun tonight.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. And
Thank
we got Mikey in the background. He should be popping in a bit. He's dealing with some business, because, business. But let's say hello to people. We got Zontar sending in a super chat already. He says, often confuse Valiant Casino with Culture Renegade. Well, I thought it was Vigilante Renegade. And
Culture Williamson?
yeah.
Culture Williams.
Yes. What if he
Maybe
changes his name to-
Valiant.
What if you change his name to Violent Renegade? Will we have to worry?
Oh, that would be good.
We need a Violent Renegade. That sounds like a kick-ass comic book.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we have let's see here. We have Cheese Factor in the house. I see Keith Howard. I see Jim Watari. We got Mecha J. I think I saw in here. Yep. Dr. Coffin Nails, Duck Nation. Welcome everybody. Sander Hammerslag. Snowdub's in the house. I haven't seen Snowdub. Runner's here. How you doing? Goddess of Whim. Gonzalo Bergali is here. Justin Norris. Welcome guys, and of course Valiant Renegade, as we said before. Cabin Boy is here. Judicon, how you doing? We got Frankenstein Jeebus. There you go. Instead of Monkey Jeebus.
Hey,
We
Frank.
got Dr. Dragon, and we have SXHBK. He always messes me up. Forgotten Prime, and we got so many more. We got Mariella, and am I saying that right? Mariella. Jesus Christ.
Hello there.
Mariella Newworth. Yay, we are live. Yes, indeed. We do have a few ladies in the chat tonight, so the rumors are not totally true. Not all women hate me. So,
Some
got
of them just
Stephanie
loathe
here
and
as well.
some of them just loathe and detest.
just loathe and detest me. We got Gotham Bat here in Tex, Florida. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Hit that like button. Share the stream if you haven't already. We got Jason from Sci-Fi for Me TV. How you doing, buddy? So many more coming in here. So yeah, there's been a bit of DC news that happened, and we'll probably get to that shortly. But I'm going to save that for a few minutes from now. We were talking about Creed before the show.
Yeah.
Because the Creed trailer dropped, for those who may not have seen it. I don't know if we'll watch it here because MGM's a bitch. But
Well, that would be Amazon now, but yes.
same difference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they'll claim us either way. So, but yeah, it comes out 3/3/23, directed by Michael B. Jordan. It is Slyless. There is no Sylvester Stallone in it. The fact that they're calling it Creed 3 and all that kind of business, just, I don't know, to make it feels like they're trying to do like a Rocky 3 thing, but it's coming off more like Rocky 5, with him kind of like working with this guy and him coming
It
after him.
feels like a Tyler Perry movie and they inserted some boxing into it.
God damn right.
I
I was waiting for Medea to show up and go, I need to teach you how to do some boxing.
Wow.
No, I
I
just mean
just
the
like how-
melodramatic level of it.
I look at this, I'm like, oh hey, look, it's
Medea might
Killmonger
fix
versus
this.
Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
Is this the one where Creed becomes a southpaw?
Maybe.
No
No,
reversal of expectations.
Yeah. No Stallone, no thanks. Yeah, that's where I'm at with this. And frankly, I wasn't so sure how they were going to deal with this. And I kind of had posited before, I don't know, this doesn't bode well for the movie considering how Sly was pissy with everything. Makes me wonder if they are going to kill him. And 70s, you had noticed some things in the trailer, and so did, I think, Script and a few other people we were talking about just before the show. But yeah, like, what's your reaction to this, guys? Clobby, well, let's start with you.
Well, we already talked about how I've not seen the second one yet. So I watched the trailer. I don't know. I got to tell you, I'm not really particularly interested in it. I'm a Rocky fan, but not these so much. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll watch this. Maybe I'll watch 2 and then get pumped up to watch this, but not really looking forward to it.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
I heard a sound.
Trailer. I mean, it looked okay. I mean, it looked okay. I mean, everybody likes a two guys battling it out type story, but it just doesn't get the blood rushing, does it? It's it seemed a little formulaic. Having Tessa Thompson in it is always a negative point, of course, for any movie. So it's already got that to overcome. Just without Rocky, what's the real attraction here? What's the attraction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because
I'm
we've
with
seen it
Runner
all
here.
before, otherwise.
Yeah, I'm with Runner here. Creed 2 was very superior over Creed 1. And we had that discussion too earlier before the show. But yeah.
With Stallone in those films, you have an icon that everybody loves. With this, you got a good actor. He's a good enough actor and everything. He's not the character of Rocky.
Creed just
He'll
felt
never
like
be
a
the character
rip-off of Rocky. Exactly. Like, to me, it was just like the same story Ray do, and it did a lot of things for no good reason. The second film actually felt like another installment, not just a remake.
But even in good movies like these, if you like Creed 1 and 2 and 3, whatever, even 3 is okay. That's just what they're going to be. Okay movies, not an iconic character at all, like Rocky. Never will be.
Yeah, and okay is what it looked like. I mean, it looked like, yeah, I could watch that, but is it gonna? Would I ever watch it twice? I don't know. All I've seen is the trailer, but I don't think I've watched the other two more than once. So
yeah, I can see that. I've watched the other two twice a piece, or like once each, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe I've watched the first one 3 times at the most, but I think I've only watched them 2 a piece. Nick or Script, sorry, I didn't mean to skip you. Jesus, Script, what's your reaction?
It doesn't feel like a Creed or Rocky film. At least the trailer doesn't land like a Creed or Rocky film. It's, for those that don't know, it's a story where a kid from Creed's past who just got out of prison is going to box, and it's like they're trying to give him a Rocky-esque street level story, but they put so much melodrama behind it that it feels disingenuous, and it doesn't feel like a Rocky story of like, what is Creed having to deal with, really? Is it his former best friend that he hasn't seen in decades, or is it the fact that he's having a career that's lasting longer than his father's? Like, we don't know, and they don't even explore anything that's interesting here. It's just a very superficial rivalry, and I blame the marketing for that, because I have no idea if this movie is actually going to have the capture the same tone that the first two did in relation to how they were able to echo the Rocky franchise.
One other thing about that is, frankly, boxing does not have the cultural significance today that it had in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about these movies. Who follows boxing? I'm nothing against it. I liked it when I was a kid back then, and it was such a time when Rocky came around. When the movie came out, you had guys like, Muhammad Ali and people like that, exciting things going on in boxing. Now, does anyone really get
No, it's
excited about
boxers fighting
boxing.
MMA fighters. That's what it is.
Yeah, Alfred wondered why they didn't set it in an MMA type
Yeah.
environment. But so the great Snowdub is in the chat. Hey, buddy. He mentions, did Rocky die in Creed 2? I never saw it. I just saw Creed 1. Well, he
No,
No.
he didn't.
He
And
didn't, but there are possible hints in this trailer that he might be getting killed off.
in
to
between,
remove-
which really sucks.
Yeah. So
Because that would
Stallone-
really piss me off because he goes through a battle of cancer. Like in the trailer, they teased the fuck out of us in 2. Like they were going to kill him. And he actually beats the cancer. So like that was like a big point of that film. And to kill him off in between the movies would not just piss fans off in general, but that like really, it's like, really, you put him through all that shit?
Yeah, just to
no
kill him
wonder,
off screen.
No wonder Sylvester Stallone was pissed. And I kind of thought that might have been one of the reasons why.
Yes. Are we to deduce from this trailer that he's mentoring the boxer in this one? He's the mentor, not the fighter in this one?
Yeah, he's
Rocky 5.
It's
That's why I said, yeah, that's what kind of feels like me.
He's
is
kind of
like a
young
Rocky
for that.
V
he
thing,
cuts
yeah.
the guy a break.
He's kind of young to be the mentor type of this. I don't know.
I don't know if he mentors him, but he definitely cuts him a break.
Okay.
To like, I guess, get his start in boxing, and then now I guess he's the hotshot new kid.
Trains him or whatever. Or?
I
I don't think he trains him. I think he trained himself in jail.
You could be right, Script, but I got the impression he did train him from the trailer. But
I don't know.
Well, I think he might add some training on top of what the guys learned in prison.
Right. Sure.
And he's giving him the facilities. He's giving him, all the use of his gym. He's giving him all sorts of stuff, I think, to help him to pay him back for what is seen as obviously some kind of betrayal when they were younger and they got arrested.
Oh yeah, like they got arrested, and the other one took the fall for what Creed did to give him a shot so that he could be the guy. It's just I've seen this story 1,000 times.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Script.
I think 21 Jump Street has a whole season worth of stories.
That's right.
Wow.
We've seen it so many times, that plot. And I think a big issue for me with Creed is I just don't quite. Rocky, you knew he was a guy from the streets, had never had a break, had always had it tough, but it was a heart of gold, and you always felt for him. You always supported him, unquestioningly. Creed is, to me, is much more an ambivalent figure. Like, do you really feel that he's struggling against overwhelming odds?
No.
Is there a huge personal growth?
That's my issue with until the second film, that's the only time you really kind of feel like what you're saying. Because 70s, that's the problem I had with it too, is he only takes up boxing in the first movie just because it's like, oh, I want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this supposed calling to it or whatever. It's like, you don't really need to, and you're just going to constantly be in your father's shadow. Like, if that's the story you were going to tell, then you should have just done that from the start. This whole idea of making him an illegitimate child, coming from the streets, and then Apollo's widow taking him in after he passed away and all that kind of shit. Like, it just kind of felt stupid because, like, he's already like a stockbroker or something like that by the time he's an adult and decides to do all this shit. And,
what's he really risking?
Exactly. Like, he's not doing anything really. And that's where I said the movie would have been better had it been a reversal more so on Rocky, in that he's always had the silver spoon, right? He was one of Creed's original children. He grew up in that environment, never knowing anything of the streets and what it was to need. And, you start him out as this like hot-headed boxer who thinks he can just do it because he's Apollo's kid. But then Rocky,
and lots of the people that he fights pull their punches because he's Apollo's kid. Yeah.
And then you got Rocky, who gives him basically that same kind of speech that Paulie gave him in part 3, where he's like, "Yeah, you're fighting a bunch of chumps, and you ain't really doing anything to challenge yourself, and you're not even living up to your father's potential. So when you're sitting here worried about living in your father's shadow, you can't even fight for yourself, and that kind of a thing. And kind of rebuild him back up as an actual fighter so he can actually get out from under that. Like, that would have made more sense. Yeah, Sadie.
Would have been even funnier if Rocky punched him out in one hit. It's like, see, you're weak.
Yeah.
You're weak.
It's not about getting knocked out. It's about getting back up after you do.
No, he says that speech and he's like, "Wait, are you awake?" No.
Well, we got to get you awake.
Yeah, there's
I'll
for me,
tell it to you when you wake up.
it's a lack of risk and a lack of real contention in it that's made these. The first two movies were okay, but what's he really risking? There's
That's
got to
just
be
it.
some kind of Rocky risked it all, everything, laid it all on the line several times, and that's
Yeah.
whilst it was a little ridiculous at times, a little bit, not a great deal. At least you felt there was something at stake.
Well, he was larger than life, the character of Rocky.
Yeah.
This guy's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nick,
and I
did
mean,
you chime in yet? Sorry, 70s, but
I
no,
mean,
go ahead.
it looks okay. I don't think it looks like a bad movie. Obviously, there's so many familiar tropes to the point where obviously this movie's not going to have anything new going for it. I mean, so it looks okay. I don't think it looks great. There are definitely parts of it. Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like a Rocky franchise movie. And that is a problem I do have because obviously we all know that MGM wants to do this whole Rocky universe thing because now they want to do a Drago flick. It's just like, oh,
Thunder looks
I would
so
actually.
great.
I was the one who said I would rather see a Drago spinoff
Yes,
where
I
Rocky
would.
goes to Russia
Yeah.
and helps him reprogram his son or deprogram his son and retrain him. That's what I meant.
it does, and I'll give you that. That definitely is a better idea. I do think that it's actually a really good idea. It's just why can we stop being so lazy and start from the ground up?
Well, looking at the trailer, I almost felt that the Damien character, if he had been Creed, it would have been a lot better as a story because he spent hard time in jail.
They tried doing that, but just as he's like when he was a kid, though.
Yeah, but it was just
Like
it
he was in
wasn't.
juvie or whatever. But
This guy's been in for years.
hard time,
A
exactly.
real hard time with no support to come out to, other than this
He said
one guy he
hard.
calls his friend, and so that almost Damien would almost have been a better Creed.
You're not
character than
wrong
Creed.
there, but speaking of hard time, Culture, who I usually give a hard time, you've been very quiet. I know you're only here for a limited time.
Yeah.
What's your
Give it to 'em
appraisal
hard.
of this?
Well, we started a little bit. I wanted to tease this show, so I didn't really go deeply into it. But I mean, to me, you're abandoning the heart of the film. The minute you pull Rocky out of this, the minute you pull, the father figure out of this, you're really, not you're abandoning some of the principles there. I mean, there's supposed to be this mentorship, this leadership, everything you gentlemen have talked about already that would lead these people down the proper paths, whether it be Creed or Drago or any of these other characters. There has to be somebody who brings you beyond what you are or out of the shell that you've put yourself in or any of these other things. I mean, that's everything you guys have just described. I always feel like, the character Creed was as important to Rocky because that ghost hung out in all of the films after, Apollo passed away. I mean, it was very much, central to the Rocky character. At the same time, I mean, it's like you've just taken, Rocky, who's still alive, even though you guys just talked about the fact that they could kill him off screen, out of this thing. So in not in a satisfying way that the audience will accept it as easily. That Spectre will be there, but not to the the benefit of the story, much to its detriment, in my opinion. But I guess we'll just have to see at the end of the day. I have very low expectations for this. And like Tom, I think it's very telling that by removing Stallone, from any part of this process, you're not really passing the torch as much as you're just like abandoning, the background here. But again, having not seen this yet, I can't really say that's the case, but that's just what it looks like from the outside. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just went on for 5 minutes about what I thought. That's crazy.
No, well, you've been
We
quiet.
just love listening to your culture. Your voice is so smooth.
And I wanted to give you the floor for a few minutes, but no, I agree with you. We don't know yet if they kill Rocky off screen or not.
We don't, and they might be baiting us there. I mean, that could be a piece of.
But
It
considering
could
the
be a
way,
misdirect.
Yeah,
It
Yeah,
could
but
be a
considering-
misdirect just to get us talking about it too.
considering the way
Yeah.
the way that Sly came out like that, swinging.
Yeah. Well, and he went
Yeah.
right after the producer, right? I mean,
And that's what I mean. And this would have been about the time they probably would have just been finishing up Creed 3. So he probably would have gotten wind or something. And that's what I'm thinking. He probably wasn't already happy about being left out for whatever reason.
Mm.
And that's where I don't know I would love to have been a fly on the wall to figure out what the fuck's going on here. Because Sly is usually pretty professional. And the way that he came out like that, we all kind of scratched our heads a little bit at how it kind of was coming off. But it's like clearly he's pissed about something that he can't say. That's why I think that might be part of it. Because he was talking about the disrespect to the Rocky character and the franchise and how it's being just milked and things of that sort. So to me, that sounds like there was some impasse at some point, and then he got wind that they killed this character off, and that pissed him off. I that's my guess.
Could be. Yeah, just if he's not been killed off, then I wonder how they're going to explain his absence, because he and Creed became very close.
Well,
so
before-
why would he not be there at all?
Well, before they had got that, I had known there was any animosity between the producer and Sylvester Stallone. I just figured there would be like a little nod to, oh, Rocky's off in Russia, and that would set us up for
That
something
would have
down
been
the
good.
road. You know, but so they could finish off Creed's trilogy and then do I can't remember what Dolph Lundgren's kid's name was in the movie, but yeah, just do it.
It's Victor Drago.
Yeah, or you could just call it Drago for that matter.
It's Drago, yeah. It's
Drago.
Victor, I think. Victor. Yeah, and he is in the cast list for this, so
Yeah,
I don't know whether that's just a flash.
that could just be
scene.
the flashback thing, because I think this will start off like most Rocky movies do, where it picks up where the last one left off. But
Yeah, it's true.
that's where then they'll have some time jump, and then in between there's where we'll end up losing Rocky probably or something.
But I think they've got a problem not that they care what I think, but if I watch the trailer and I find that Damien's a more interesting character than Creed, that's maybe a problem.
Well, that's kind of a problem with the franchise altogether up to this point. Creed's like
an
Adonis
extra in
never
his own
really
movie.
had his own kind of he's never really had a character.
Mm.
He's just constantly talking about other people, and I mean, really, I couldn't tell you any of his traits, right? Like, you know, the old test, you know, tell me something about the character without telling me what they do or what they look like, and I don't think anybody could tell me much about Adonis other than he boxes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's quite well built.
You can't say that. It's about how he looks.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's the test. If you can't say something about a character,
He's got terrible taste in women if he's got Tessa Thompson.
You
as
just
a,
said he boxes. That's what he does. You can't use
Oh,
that.
that's true. God damn it.
That's
You're
true.
right.
Either.
Thank you. Fuck.
what's he
good
traits?
point.
Traits.
I need to eat.
He knows how to walk.
He knows how to talk.
Uh,
He's
he's an illegitimate child.
an illegitimate child. Yeah. His father
that
was
doesn't-
Apollo Creed. That's about
But
it.
that doesn't tell you his traits, so that's still just a fact
No,
about his
No,
background.
and he really doesn't have any character traits. I mean, okay, he's a bit of a problem child, so there you go. But after that, he pretty much has his shit together as an adult.
I know. He's far too together.
So,
Yeah.
Do
but
you have any kids? Does he have any kids? I can't remember.
no, I think they have a baby in the second one.
Mm.
So I think he will have a kid now in this.
So he's a father.
Tessa,
Yeah, he's
Tessa
a
in
dad.
that one too. Tessa's in that one too.
She,
Both of them?
is.
She is.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
I know. I mean, that's a definite negative from the start. I mean, that's -5 that's a -5 in the reviews. So, and you've got to climb back to 0 after that point. I don't know. There's just I just don't feel I don't feel the character is strong enough to sustain a
It'll
franchise.
be like you said, 70s. It'll be a movie you probably just watch once and you're like, okay. And then that's kind of it. There'll be
Yeah.
nothing to really write home about.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know
Segue to our
whether
next
that's.
You killed off 100 minutes, and then that's it.
And we could be wrong. It could be astoundingly good. I don't know.
It
It's
could
just a
be.
trailer. Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
you never know, bro.
It's Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
there's that
Risky
too.
butt.
Yeah, but the trailer didn't give us a lot to work with that would indicate that it's going to be extraordinarily good. So
That's right. It didn't. It looked formulaic. And the best thing about it was Damien, in my opinion. So
Creed joined
Jonathan
the Avengers
Majors.
Third movie.
Does Creed join the adventures?
Yes. Yes, he does. You're not supposed to spoiler here.
Spoilers,
Well,
but yeah.
Isn't Michael B. Jordan up for every single role in the universe at this point?
Yes.
And the other universes too, I believe.
I wish they'd have cast him as Doctor Who.
If they could, well, that would be okay. Yeah.
But he's not British.
He's not British. He could
Doesn't
probably
have
do
to
a
be
British
more.
accent. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I don't think he could probably. I'm just, you know.
No,
Well-
they get John Boyega because he's actually got a British accent.
That's
Yes.
true. But if he didn't, I mean, if somebody complained about his British accent as Doctor Who, he could just punch them. So he'd be the first fighting boxing doctor. Mind you, John Pertwee had the Venusian Aikido, so you know.
That's true. We did.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a fact.
exactly. Anyway, have we got any interesting films to talk about?
Well, is that where we
Yeah,
want
we
to
have
jump
films.
next?
Yeah.
Or did we want to go to the Frosk stuff? Well, let's ask Culture since he's here for only a little bit longer. What would you rather talk about? DC news or Frosk?
Oh man. Well, I recorded a video about the DC news, but the Frost stuff is gonna, I mean, that
We
I
can
don't
talk
think
about that quick.
I don't think it's ever going away. I mean, consider just how much garbage this chick is throwing at everybody else on her way out the door, right?
Well, that's kind of what
And-
the story is, but yeah.
Yeah, roll that out, man. This is good stuff. You could control scroll wheel it so people can see it
Oh, you and your
I'm just surprised they didn't put her in She-Hulk.
and big in it.
You
Maybe
and
she
your
should be
big
Doctor Who.
Yes. She still.
I think it was inside the Dalek, actually.
She was inside the just slightly. Well, the Daleks were green as well, so that would tie into She-Hulk too.
Well,
So-
she also exterminated all of her coworkers at G4.
Oh,
She's
Definitely their
still
income.
not sorry about it. How could she be doxxed?
Yeah, I don't know.
She just complains about being doxxed. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
does she
either.
know what doxing means?
no.
No, I don't think so.
doxing.
I
Indiana,
really don't.
you were doxxed. Well, wait
You know,
a minute.
that's-
Your name was Indiana. Sorry.
Yeah, that's not really her name, right? And she changed
No.
her name to like all this like stuff. So like she went from like a regular serial killer name to like a more advanced serial killer name. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, just the sheer it sums up Western civilization when this person can do what she did and then continually blame it on everybody else, as if she
Yep.
had nothing to do with it, but she still supports it. All the jobs that were lost, but she did say something I think is true, which that the executive showrunners did probably write and approve her scripted piece that she ranted on. So she's right about that. That's true, I suspect.
Well, it depends. I mean, again, it could have been, and in script, correct me if I'm wrong, but it could have been a producer on the ground there for that particular show on that particular day that said, yeah, go for it. It didn't have to be anybody, above that level.
Well, we had a bit of,
Certainly.
I say we had a bit of an inside track on that. If you caught our video about it, I think it was last week we dropped it, or the week before, whenever it was, just before she got fired, or the day right after she got fired. That's what it was. So the day after she got fired, whatever it was, because I had somebody reach out to me that let's just say had connections to G4, and they proved to me who they were. So we were confident enough to go ahead with their what they had told us, and they basically told us that the channel was started mainly just to sell esports.
Well, it was a vanity project too.
The channel was going to be shut down, and the only reason Frosk was still there is so that they could blame her for it when it happened. And I think that's what she's going off about here. And only she went off on Twitter too early. And yeah, so this all happened a lot faster because of her bullshit. It was all probably going to be in the cards anyway. Andre's right about that part, but as far as like the speedy nature of this whole thing going down and the way it went down, she is the one to fucking blame here. She is completely to blame from what we were told. And I think that from what I was told is adding to add more weight to this, her rant right here, you know, is about not getting any support from G4. And I believe if I remember right, the other part that we were told was that it was supported by certain people within the immediate grounds, but not on the higher level. So they were pissed. So a lot of this just boils down to this fucking speech she decided to fucking make out of nowhere. And that really screwed the pooch for everybody. Not that they had much of a chance to begin with, but she basically put the gun to their head and pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that what she said was scripted, whether she wrote it or someone wrote it for her. She certainly agreed with it, and that's the point where she can't turn around and blame anybody, is she willingly made herself the public face of that rant, rather than saying, I don't want to do this, you know, let's just cool this a bit. She enthusiastically leapt on it. So whether it was written by her or planned by her or not, she chose to become the public face of it. So I don't think her crocodile tears will go too far. Anyway, that's just my opinion.
No, I don't think she's basically, through her whole thing, I think there's more to the tweets as it goes on. She said she's basically like leaving the industry and shit like that. She goes into this whole thing. Let me see if I can bring it up here, because I don't know if it brings it up in this thing, but she was even having a back and forth with somebody else about it and how there's no support for women and shit. It's like,
it's just nonsense.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Then
bras are still being made. There's totally support for them.
Okay, so this is the whole thing. She goes, my sexism in gaming is segment was approved by all executive showrunners in X-Play. When I was originally hired and cast, G4 made the internal statement that diversity and inclusion was what it was built on to fix the past. I was fully supported initially until doxing threats. Then I asked for support multiple times and was ignored or directly lied to about support coming. No guidelines, no plans, no help. Then management changed and it became openly hostile. Gee, I wonder fucking why. And now this is the last thing I'll ever say about G4. People who I worked with were lovely. I gave them everything. Producer, writer, host, and more. Would do it again. Love you all. But that wasn't really all she had to say.
Of course not.
Because then like I said, somebody chimed in here. I'm trying to find that here.
I'm just glad they were going to fix the past. That's a good thing. That's important.
Yeah, because yeah,
with Time Machine apparently or something.
I'm trying to find it. I can't find. There's so much shit on this now, but there was some somebody with a check mark that responded to her comment, and she actually responded to that comment, but none of the others.
Yeah, and isn't Sessler ranting on Twitter as well?
Yeah, he's like, "Come fight me, bro."
I know.
Oh, good luck.
He thinks he's fucking the new Hulk guy on She-Hulk.
The Hulk King?
Maybe he should have been in Creed 3. That would have been good.
Oh, that would have been something.
Creed versus Sessler. Yeah, I just the whole thing was a disaster from the minute she opened her mouth. And I think, like every other branch of entertainment that we love as gamers, and I play a lot of games, we're tired of being accused of everything under the sun. So, yeah. Chickens have roosted. Rabbit chickens have come home to roost.
Well, you are the white male, so.
That's true, I am.
To be fair, you are responsible for all evil in the universe.
Did you just assume my gender?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I took a shot at it. I took a shot at it.
Yeah, and they would say, yes, absolutely. They would say it's, well, you don't get it because you're part of the problem. But I don't recall ever being sexist in gaming before. So,
You know,
Speaking
even
of
if, let's just say that there probably was, it's probably like the most minuscule, like 0.005%. And they tend to take that 0.05%, they try to hyper emphasize on it.
Yeah.
Like they're the majority when they're just a very minuscule minority. Like you're always gonna have a bad apple with every bunch and every circle, every fandom, whatever you name it, sports, there's always going to be someone, and that's just part of the territory, but they're never like what sums up the majority of that fan base. But
I never noticed any sexism in gaming until there was a thing such as esports,
that's
right?
good.
Like, and that's the
good.
thing to me. And even at that point, okay, fine. What if there is a little bit of sexism? Then it's up to the women to prove the men wrong that are being sexist, right? So
absolutely
go out there and just show them what you can do. Don't fucking blame everybody else for your fucking problems. Like, that's what I'm sick and tired of most of all is the fucking blame game and the victim Olympics.
Dude, exhausting.
And that's what she is. She's like the fucking gold star winner of the fucking victim Olympics in her head.
Yeah. And the demand for victims far outstrips the supply. So they have to keep creating supply by accusing everybody of these things.
What I see here is a shift on the corporate level of what I've been talking about. This right here is a symptom of the final re. She's claiming she's not getting any support.
Yes, indeed.
I'm actually
shit like that, yeah.
No,
and that to me tells me that they basically said to her, "Good luck, good riddance, fuck off. You pissed everybody off. You fucking cost everybody their job. Whatever you want to add in here, she did it, and rightfully so. She was ghosted and treated like shit."
Mm-hmm.
Indeed, and they all applauded her on set. So
it kind of shows them right when they applaud her actions. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like they're still complicit because they all signed off on it. This comes back to that whole, well, look at all these people like making this viral and likes and retweets. All these people must think this. And then they always act shocked. The same outcome again. How come all these people are rejecting it? It's like they need to understand that what looks good on Twitter does not translate into real life. They refuse to concede to that. They think that Twitter is like this thing that like that's representative of the world, even though the amount of active users, which we already have had that conversation, is very hard to define right now. How many active users? Look at you, Elon. To get that.
Honestly, I can't believe this thing isn't getting ratioed to fuck.
Well, look, I think some of that, I think, though, is the fact that most people don't care anymore. This chick is as irrelevant as G4 TV is. I mean, outside of those of us here in this sphere, right? I mean, the majority of people are like, oh, shit, I didn't even know that was back. And they wasted this huge platform that was sitting idle for a very long time. And again, it was launched as a vanity project for one of the kids of a senior executive at Universal Comcast, right? This was, I think, the son of the guy that runs Comcast Universal that got this thing off the ground to begin with. And, and then he moved on to greener pastures because this thing was already going to not, go well based on what they turned it into. And if Frosk is accurate, right? If Frosk is telling the truth in these tweets, spitting out what she says about that this was to make up for the past, right? That they were doing this woke bologna sausage garbage to make up for the past. It was already started from a disingenuous
place, there's
right?
nothing to make up for.
Yeah. Well, that's not the perception that Frosk put out there. But like I said, I mean, the reason nobody's engaging with this, and the reason I don't even think I even made a video on this since like right at the beginning of this mess, is because again, it's irrelevant. She's irrelevant. G4 is irrelevant. All of its relevancy is going to be summed up in the amazing documentary that our friend Chris Gore has put together and was recently showcased at a Tucson Film Festival. So, that thing's about to be out in the world.
Good.
So,
yeah, well, I agree with many people in the chat though. They said they invaded the gaming space like they've invaded every other space. Everyone was fine. These people have invaded, and then they want to change it to their image and throw us all out of it or whatever. And we're all tired of it. And it's nice to see some Schadenfreude coming home roost.
Right.
And,
Right. And I'm just glad. I was so worried that someone's gonna like maybe like try to bail G4 out. Think, oh, maybe someone will just bail them out just to give that last minute sweep and save them to give them that one extra shot. And luckily, no one saved it. Because the thing is, like, I hate it sound like I'm trying to wish ill on people to lose their job. But the thing is, someone needs to actually take a hit and take a hard hit to learn from this. That's the only way we're going to get any progress in this. And literally went broke at the door. They literally did.
They didn't have to remake it in the image of the old G4. They could have done it without. I mean, I admit it. The old
They could
G4
just talk about video games.
They could have just talked about games and had some fun.
They could have just talked about
have to
what's
have
the
naked
current
women.
game, what are fans into.
Yeah.
Why is that so hard? Like
Play
my
some
brother was
games.
into the original G4. Like if you ask me, he followed Chris Gore way back in the day. So like when he found out G4's come back, he was all in on it. But then he saw this whole spiel. It was just like, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah, there was, small interest. It wasn't like, they were making waves and everyone's highly anticipating their comeback, but there's people who were curious to see what was going on, a small amount, and maybe if that small amount liked it, they could have gotten others say, hey, guys, G4's back. Oh, what? G4 from 20 years ago? They're back? It could have gotten people talking, but they fucked themselves. And you know what? They reaped what they sowed for all signing off on that shit.
Yep. Well, I think sci-fi for me may have a point. TV may have a point, and that they'll take away the wrong lesson. The lesson they'll take away is we need to crush our opponents harder.
Yep, they'll that's the thing. These people, they never think that they're in the wrong ever. They never ever do. They think they're gonna find a way to double down, go through some other company that they gotta think, okay, who hasn't been wrecked yet? Let's go wreck them and throw our message there, because they need to have. It's funny. It's ironic that these people always talk about how bad corporations are, but yet they need those corporations to push their message so badly. They rely on those corporations that they claim to be against.
They talk out of both sides of their mouth, Nick. I mean, they say, oh, we hate corporations, but they absolutely live and thrive off them and love them. And they love them because they've taken them over.
They need that because it makes them look like they're coming from a position of cultural legitimacy. So that's what they need, once again, to incorporate the message.
Anyway, gaming is still in flux. G4 is a blip on the radar for everybody, but it's still in flux. There's still a lot of attempts to destroy franchises in gaming that have been popular for a long time. I'm curious to see what CD Projekt Red do now they've swallowed the ESG pill.
That can really screw up the future for them.
Yeah, I'm not encouraged. And I'm also interested to see what the new God of War Ragnarok looks like. All we've seen is some trailers. I think they're hiding something from us, but let's see.
Indeed.
In terms of what that plot and character, the characters may be that are in that supposed it's supposed to be about mythology and northern and European mythology. Let us see.
Now, let's get some of these super chats and then we'll get to the DC talk. We've got a thumbs up from Big Raj. Thank you so much for that, and hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. We appreciate that. There's almost 500 of you watching, and Running with Scissors had a question here. Says, or a statement or question. Yeah, says a problem with the Drago spinoff is it could look like a Cobra Kai clone. So what? Karate Kid was already accused of being a clone of Rocky. And they're almost like spiritual brothers anyway, in a sense. They're sequels or what are spinoffs in a way. So
it might take place in the same universe.
There's who knows? Like as far as I'm concerned, just fucking who cares? Do it. That's the way to do it anyway. But I see where you're coming from, but I don't see that as a problem. The Waltman says the Twitter has locked out employees from selling their stocks with October 28th, deadline near. Oh, well, good. Pilgrim, it's like speaking of Twitter, it looks like Steph said she was locked in Twitter jail. I don't know what you did now, Steph. Pilgrim Photography says, what's Walter Hamada's major malfunction? What did he do now?
I don't know.
And how will Rachel react to it?
I don't know.
Let's see what Walter Hamada's up to now.
I feel like anytime Walter Hamada gets robbed, it's almost like you have to have Ray Fisher come up with him. I mean, they're yin and yang.
Yeah.
that's
Former.
Where's
The
Ray
cry
Fisher?
board goes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, this is not surprising. Former DC Films head Walter Hamada reportedly stopped Henry Cavill's DCEU return because he had plans for Black Superman. We already knew this.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the latest.
Yeah. He's just towing the company line at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's not new news, but I guess there's more to it.
New news.
New news. Goddess of Women is here, and she says Frosk leaves gaming industry. Nothing of value is lost. I didn't know who she was before, and I won't care after she's gone. Mecca J says she's leaving the industry, but that probably could be code word for I'm blacklisted from the yeah, that too.
I think she'll
I
land
hope-
something
I
somewhere.
I
I'm sure
hope
she'll be
that's
fine.
true. That's the part I'm worried about. I don't feel like she is. Maybe that's true, but I'm right now. I just we're in the day and age of failing upwards, and I would not be
That's
surprised
true.
if some other
We've never
big
not been
gaming
in a day and age
industry-
of failing upwards.
Not just that, karma just seems to have taken a vacation for a while on certain things. Does this dress make my ass look big? Says Ticket to Paradise. Clooney Roberts. Roberts $36 million budget, $73 million overseas. Opened Friday in U.S. Saw ad, got curious. Go figure. Oh, this is the one I was talking about. That I said, let's see how it does
Never
up
heard of this
against
I've
up
slipped
against
by me.
Bros. This is the one I was talking about that George Clooney and Julia Roberts had a romantic comedy coming out.
Oh boy.
He's in his 60s, she's in her 50s.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah, well,
They're
unusual.
playing divorcees that they used to be married and they're getting together because one of their kids are getting married.
It's
or
very
something.
unusual casting
kids
for
getting
that
married.
pair, don't you think? It's right against type, cast against
But if
type.
it did 73 million overseas, then that's boding well because
That's already like 10 times more than what
Yeah.
Rose made.
That's what I was saying because Culture and I had this conversation, I believe, on his show and on the morning show and a few other places, I think, where I said I want to see how this and that J-Lo movie does, and that'll prove my point.
Yeah, perhaps it proves that people just want a bit of light entertainment now and again.
Well, they don't expect to see a fucking orgy in the middle of a romantic comedy.
Are you
Definitely
sure?
don't want to be implied rim jobs, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Can
Am
I
I
ask a
sure?
question? How do you imply that exactly?
I don't know. I haven't
How
seen
do you
Bros.
apply
I
a
refuse
rim
to
job?
see it.
Yeah, their latest excuse is you're not supposed to like the main character, so we're misinterpreting the movie, of course.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is it with them and you're not supposed to like the character? Like, I mean, I'd be one thing if it was like, like a Michael Myers where you're not supposed to root for the villain, like killer.
No,
Jeffrey
but
Dahmer.
No.
We got
See,
we got this fad where they're like, oh, we have these main characters, and yeah, they're supposed to be unlikable. The writers say that too about Captain Marvel, like, yeah, she's supposed to be unlikable. So it's like, well, then why are we investing?
See, that's
question.
the thing. The one trick that hasn't been successfully really pulled well is making a movie with a very unlikable character at the start who you then end up liking a lot by the end. It's
Yeah, I
it's
could get with
the
that.
forbidden fruit,
Called
so to
character
speak.
development.
It's really no one's been ever able to do it. Everybody tries to write one script for it. They've been doing this since the early 50s. And some movies get made, some don't. Most usually don't, because
Especially in the
argument
70s,
is,
they like to push that idea.
not really, no, not at all.
What, that
It's
you're not
just-
supposed to like the main character? There was tons of movies like that.
Such as
Like every gritty fucking Chinatown,
Dirty
You
Harry.
like,
Dirty
I
Harry.
kind of
you
like
do
Jack
like,
Nicholson. Yeah.
But Dirty
Jack
Harry you
Nicholson
do
in
like.
Chinatown. You feel
he's
sorry
not-
for him.
He's not unlikable. Yeah.
No,
If Jaws is if the shark is the main character in Jaws, you kind of don't like them.
Well, as I said, like, yeah, those are creatures.
Taxi
like,
Driver
those are
was what I was
villains.
really trying to think of. And Midnight
Taxi
Cowboy,
Driver,
that's the other
yeah.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't. Yeah.
French Connection, yeah. There was a few. Anyway, Jack White says, Tom, I just sent you an email with links to old anime promos. Can you guys react to them live? If not, it's fine. I'll tell you what, we'll try to get to those a little later on because we got this DC news we got to get to. but I will try to remember that. Alan Paxton says the rant was utter hubris, and the clapping seals next to her had opportunity to challenge it, but they wanted the virtue signal points. Don't watch. Okay. Yeah, there wasn't many people watching to begin with, and then you shit on most of the rest of the fans. What do you expect? But yes, thank you for that as well, White Knight. I will try to get to those at the end of the show, or Jack White, I mean, sorry. We have this DC news, though, because I had kind of heard an update on some of this, and some of this came out, and I wish I had gotten it out there sooner, but whatever, it doesn't matter. DC at a turning point. James Gunn pitches secret movie. Dwayne Johnson flexes his Superman power. So what's going on? Well, we're hearing rumors that there is a new Man of Steel, aka Superman movie in the works. Things are moving along there, so I don't know if they've found anybody to head things up yet necessarily, but I had heard a rumor the other day that they were trying to get James Gunn to direct a Superman movie, and then this comes out. And I think I even mentioned it earlier on Scripts or Culture's stream.
Yeah, things are definitely headed that direction. And of course the not very well disguised, hidden, and or recently leaked post-credit scene kind of gives us even more firepower behind getting a Black Adam versus Cavill Superman film together. And Tom, you heard something I'd heard, and of course what I'd heard is that Cavill's looking at a 4-picture deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. So why couldn't one of them or two of them be Superman?
Well, I think at least 2 of them will probably be a Superman film, and then the other 2 will be like a Justice League type movie, and maybe an appearance in another film like a versus with Mr. Black Adam here, if that pans out this weekend. But we don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out. But they're claiming there's a secret movie that James Gunn is pitching, because when I first heard it, I'm like, I don't hate that idea, but I could see James not wanting to do a Superman movie.
I think you might want to do a Booster Gold or something a bit more.
This doesn't seem like
Superman's
his shtick, because
It's not his style.
James Gunn even admitted that when he got hired by Warner Bros., he said they actually offered Superman to him first, and he turned it down because he says he likes to dabble in the weirder characters on purpose. He likes to go for the characters that people aren't really touching. And, that's not a bad thing. Like, I don't mind going for less known characters. Just, give us a decent portrayal. That's all I ask. So
they
I
may be
appreciate
trying to sweeten the deal with him.
from.
They may be like, we'll give you a movie if you write and produce the Superman movie for us or something. Maybe. Do you see something like that? Maybe script.
I could see him being a shepherd for it, but not a huge, not taking the full reins.
Yeah,
no, just like a producer and a co-writer.
Producer or something. I would.
If they do weasel him into a producer position, that means that they're trying to weasel him into a head of a DC studio,
which they've been wanting to do for a while. That's what I was saying. Like, they really want him to do it, but he really doesn't want to.
No, he wants to do his HBO Max series and a couple of feature films. So.
But the news is that supposedly they're in the works of a 4-picture deal contract with Cavil. But the question I got to ask you guys, that's a little unrelated, but related because it's related to Cavil. Where do you guys think this puts Highlander? Because I don't think that started shooting yet. It was supposed to start shooting back in April. I wonder if they lost some funding or something, and that opened up Cavil's schedule. What do you guys think? Let's start with Culture, since I think you got to take off here soon anyway. Or Nick.
Well, I was letting you guys go first. I said he had to drop soon.
I was talking for like 2 straight minutes there. Let's try that again. I'm gonna stick with what I was saying on the stream, which is I believe that the schedule had to get bumped down the road for Highlander because Cavil got sick during the course of filming Witcher, and I think there's been a lot of interference in his schedule because of that. So I don't know about whether or not we'll see that film, but I fully expect it because I haven't seen any evidence that it's been pulled down off the board. So we'll see.
I still think they should have cast Michael B. Jordan as Connor McLeod. But...
Oh boy.
Well, actually, I'm looking up here. There was an update from August that kind of went under the radar. So here we go. In September is when I heard these conversations went down with Cavil. Says they're closer than we've ever been. That doesn't sound so good, because you were supposed to be going into production in April. And he says, we're in the process of tweaking right now. I think we know what we want. That doesn't sound too good.
No.
More importantly, more than anything, we know what we want to make. It's in the creatives. We know what we're trying to make. It's just a matter of getting to the point where we feel, okay, this is it. Let's go. But we're closer than we've ever been, so that's good. That tells me this got sent into rewrites, right? Script.
At the very least.
I wonder.
I
if
wouldn't
they
be
did lose
surprised
some
if they
funding.
did previs and did a couple of shots of some things and then realized this is not going where we need it to go. We got to go back to the drawing board.
Well, now wait. Let's rewind a little, because the guy that's involved in this project is Stilinski, right? The guy that's also doing John Wick. When did John Wick finish up everything and is in the can? Because I don't know that it went
A
in
year
the
and a
can.
half ago.
The new John Wick
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, because John Wick 4 was supposed to come out last year, and it's
He
coming.
shot that back to back with Matrix. Sorry, Script.
Yeah, it's supposed to actually come out. It was supposed to come out earlier this year, but it's coming out early next year.
Right.
Yeah, it got moved because of the whole Matrix debacle. So they didn't want the stigma of that movie to.
They didn't
follow
want Matrix
Keanu
failure
Reeves.
to
Okay,
trickle into John Wick.
if that's the case, then what has Chad Stilinski been doing? Because he's the guy that's the trigger man for this film.
That's what I'm saying. Something doesn't smell right in Denmark culture, because this movie was supposed to go. Henry Cavill was supposed to go to Ireland per his own Instagram in April to start shooting Highlander. That was 6-7 months ago now, almost. And if this is August, this is the latest update I got from August 8th. What I just read you, that was from Collider. It was probably an interview with him. That means they're getting nowhere. That means he got sent into rewrites, and or like I said, they probably lost some funding somewhere. Because that's the only way I can see Cavill's schedule opening up like that, because that tells me that even if he had like a 3-picture deal for Highlander, that means that's all in jeopardy probably.
Okay, so he finished Enola Holmes not that long ago.
Yeah, and he's got that too in Witcher.
And he just finished shooting Argyle with Matt Vaughn.
Okay.
So
it seems like his schedule is pretty packed for the summer. Yeah,
it is.
That's what I mean. He got sick, but he didn't. Wasn't that after April? That was just before Comic-Con.
It was right before Comic-Con in July, right?
That's what I'm saying. So that's where I don't think him getting sick had anything to do with Highlander. They clearly got sent in for rewrites or whatever.
It must have, that may have been why, but it's not. Like I said, I didn't hear it got pulled down. So, he's got a lot of stuff on his plate. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. For this to have happened, and this is going per what I was told, so take it with a grain of salt how we want to do it. And that was the big point that they had to leap over, was that he did not have any time in his schedule. That's why Zaslav was prepared to get another guy in there for the next 10 years. But something must have happened, because last month he came in, he supposedly shot this cameo. I'm still questioning. It looks CGI to me. I think he just did the voice. But or they CGI'd his head on the suit or something, because something just looks off about it, especially in the talking part. But
he's used to that, though.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I don't know. But like at this point, that's the thing, is he's not going to want to keep doing this unless they're going to give him a deal. He has made that clear. And we know between all the stuff that he's signed up for, he doesn't have a very open schedule. And that was the thing. So at this point, something had to open up, and I'm afraid it's Highlander from what it looks like now.
And that would be terrible, because he's kind of one of those guys that would be perfect for the role.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if some funding didn't fall through, because it is an independent production. You guys got to understand. I think it's under Panzer Entertainment or something like that it's called. And they have a hard time. They've always had a hard time getting funding for Highlander. It's a popular franchise, but it's kind of like on the level of like Hellraiser.
Right.
Where it has a very niche audience. I'm not saying with Henry Cavill, with the right script, the right production value, you couldn't pull off a decent, probably Highlander remake. But at this point, I think that might be dead in the water. What do you guys think? Scripted? You unmuted there, so.
Yeah, sorry, I was just adjusting my mic here, but I don't know. I generally don't know. They've been trying to make a Highlander remake for 8 years now.
Yep.
I don't know.
I
I think Henry
yeah.
Cavill's schedule is dense enough as it is.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen what I think is a still image of the Cavill cameo, and it doesn't look like it was shot recently because I've seen more recent pictures of Henry Cavill, and he's wider and beefier than he looks in that image. And he hasn't been slim in like that in a long time because he's beefy in The Witcher.
Yeah.
He was really beefy in Mission Impossible. So this one, it looks like I think they maybe took some cuts footage from the original Man of Steel and then plopped it in there and just dubbed over a different line, or maybe used a line that was cut from that movie that works for this one. I don't know, because it doesn't look like he actually put on the costume and walked on to set.
I heard it was supposed to be some different costume. It's not.
It's lighter, but that could, if script's telling the truth, it could be two reasons for that, and I'm inclined to believe
Are
him.
you lying? Script, are you lying?
No,
'Cause
I mean, I'm just
no.
saying if he's right, I'm inclined to believe he is, and the reason I say this is because I have seen it, and if it is the legit version and not something that some fan put together, because it looked good, it looked real, but what I noticed was his lips, and that's to me usually the dead giveaway when somebody is CGI'd. Because they just haven't been able to get lips right yet. Deep fake can do it, but CGI can't.
Yeah, especially especially over that hideous mustache they were covering in that other.
That was a great example of how bad that can look. Thank you. And that I had that kind of vibe when he says we got to talk.
He'll never live that mustache.
If that's the line he says, we got to talk. Didn't he say that in Batman v Superman?
He may have.
So why wouldn't they have just clipped one of the alternate takes of that and then dropped it in there?
They might have.
But 70s does have to leave us now. So do you have any final thoughts on that 70s?
The only final thought I had in this was that I had no real desire to see another Highlander movie. I love the original.
There's only one. There could be.
I'm not gonna.
There can be only one. There was never a sequel, as we all know. There was never a sequel
ever.
But I mean, yeah, if anyone was to do it, Cavil might be the guy. He is half Scottish. He has got good fan sensibilities.
He kind of looks like what's his face?
He'll have to beef up a bit more for the role
Adrian
because
Paul.
us Scots are all built like brick shit houses. So he still looks a bit weedy even now. So
well, he's got that Witcher weight. That helps.
I know.
But no, anyway, thank you for being here. 70s and culture also has to leave us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest of the show, everybody. And I'll see you on Toxic Tuesday.
Good, man.
Cheers, guys.
See you soon, 70s.
Bye.
And I unfortunately also am leaving. So, gentlemen, you continue on. I will continue to listen. Thanks for allowing me to join you today. Have a great evening, everybody.
Good to see you, man. Take care, Culture.
On the other note, though, I know this is something Klobby will agree with me on most of all. I was not a fan of Man of Steel. I was definitely not a fan of Batman v Superman either, but I didn't mind Henry Cavill as in the role as Superman. And to be honest with you, some of the best stuff he's done was in the Justice League cut.
Yeah, no, me either. He's fine for the role. It's just that's not Superman.
That proved to me seeing him in that movie doing Superman stuff that he can do the Superman stuff.
Well, he's the only good thing about the movie. He's well cast in a movie where he doesn't even get to play Superman.
Yeah, it's bewildering.
Twice.
Technically 4 times.
Huh? Well, yeah. Yeah, exactly. But no,
even his casting has no problem
with.
Well, not just his cast, but the supporting cast was not even Superman-like characters. The Kents, Lois, they were all just all people, basically Gotham type of citizens, but in Kansas and Metropolis. Like, they were all just people who lived somber lives. And oh man, like I said, I'll bet you if I read all those dialogue, like most of it from Man of Steel, most of the lines, if I didn't know who it was, like I would swear it was one character speaking the entire movie, because they all basically just have the same type of stuff. They're all bored and depressed out of their mind. And that's the thing with Zack Snyder. He claims he's a comics fan, and I'm going to be that guy and say, just because you like Frank Miller or Alan Moore
and heavy metal.
doesn't mean they encompass all comics. Sure, they had essential comics that were big and
He's about as much of a
well-regarded.
comic
Sure.
fan as fucking Tim
Sure.
Burton was when he
But-
took out
He's
Batman.
not.
Yeah, he
yeah.
brought it onto set because that makes him legit.
He
Sure,
read a
man,
few
okay.
comics.
Yeah, he's not.
Used to buy heavy metal.
To me, to be a comics fan, you gotta know who a Neil Adams is. You gotta know who a Steve Ditko is. You gotta be aware of a Jerry Conway. You gotta be aware of John Buscema. You gotta be aware of all of these names. Like,
There has only
Jeff
been
Johns even,
until
but
you get
no,
to the
that-
Marvel age. There's only one guy that I can think of that directed any of these fucking movies that actually ever read any of the fucking comics before he did it. And it's not Richard Donner, because he even admitted that he knew Superman,
yeah,
he knew
Donner.
of Superman, but he
Yeah.
didn't like read the fucking comics. All he wasn't up to speed with all the modern day shit. It was Sam fucking Raimi. He is the
Yep.
only one who
Sam
has
Raimi.
ever actually read the fucking comics, and there's proof in the pudding in his previous films that he was a fan of the 60s Spider-Man.
Yeah,
And you can see that in glorious
Yeah.
form in his movie. Sorry, go ahead, Clobby, because I'm sure
No,
you
no,
have
that's
something to add to that.
No, absolutely. He would be the first one who was given, I think, the reins to a major character in a film who was someone with a background of, knowing comics and loving it. Everyone's talking about Whedon. Whedon also, he just came later, but he was also.
Did he actually read comics?
Yeah, he did. I mean, look, Buffy
Okay.
the Vampire Slayer was Spider-Man.
He actually
Yeah.
wrote comics.
I
He
guess
did a
so.
series of Astonishing X-Men late 90s.
Later,
Just because
he
he
wrote
wrote
it
them
on
doesn't
it.
mean he read them.
No, but you can tell he knew comics. I mean,
No,
he's
All right, well,
whatever
I'll give him credit on that. but,
dirtbag
like,
that he is. But no, Raimi was the first guy. You're absolutely right. I mean, as far as big name for a big name character, I'm just saying that Buffy the Vampire Slayer is Spider-Man. It's his take on, he just everything about her is
Yeah.
Peter Parker and everything about and stuff like that. So yeah, but he other than those two,
Technically, Bryan Singer did read comics as a kid.
Just not
I don't think he
X-Men
was as much of a
comics.
fan in comparison to Raimi.
Well, he
But
said he
Raimi was a
never
big
read
fan.
X-Men comics. He said that.
No, he
flat-
didn't read
Yeah.
X-Men. He read
Yeah.
Superman and mostly DC stuff. That's
Yeah,
what
he was a Superman fan. That's true script. I did that should be pointed out. But then that doesn't excuse his shitty ass ending to a Superman movie.
well, script.
He just came at it from the worst angle. That's why.
Yeah.
Wasn't it true that Singer and had Whedon
Hold up.
work on the first X-Men script, and then Whedon took his name off of it, or is that true? Or
I never heard that before.
I
I've heard it
don't buy
before.
that. I mean,
I didn't say it was true. I just said people have said that he was he was
never
in
heard
there,
that.
and then he just didn't like the script. Didn't I don't know. I didn't say it was
Okay.
true.
No, I hadn't
no,
heard that.
I've
well,
never heard that rumor,
people
but
said it.
I don't believe it because Whedon has been fighting to. Whedon wouldn't do a team story like that. Even his Serenity, which he did, which I knew when it was put in production, it was not going to achieve what we needed it to, which is a relaunch of his show.
Mark Steven Johnson was
He's right.
think he was
He's
a
right.
fan, but I'm not
was.
sure
He
how
was.
much
He
of
was,
a
yeah.
fan.
He was.
You talking
He
about the
was-
guy who
I've-
made
I've-
the movie?
the 2003 Daredevil. He did,
Yeah.
of
He
course.
sure
the
didn't. He sure didn't
2007
show any
Ghostwire.
evidence of being a
He
fan.
obviously he did not know how to do movies well on those characters,
Okay.
but he did read the source material. He did.
It felt like he kind of read the one run and that was it.
I think he did only read. Well, I mean, that movie was basically just Frank Miller's Elektra and Bullseye.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
with a little
was-
bit of the
the
Kevin
Bullseye
Smith
was
shit
nothing
in
like
there.
the comic, but neither was Kingpin. But see, the thing about Whedon is he did have a run on X-Men later in comics that he wrote them. I mean, I believe him. I believe a lot of the things that he did know comics and read some comics. No, someone told me that once that he'd worked with. He was considered to help write one of those X-Men scripts
Yeah.
early on, and then didn't want to get involved with it because he didn't like the script that he saw.
I'm gonna find this one of these days, Techman Blade.
The frog joke.
I know what he's talking about here. Okay. And I know it's somewhere on one of either the DVDs or something I've seen before or a deleted scene somewhere, something or other. There's a bit that sets that whole thing up that got cut out. And so that line makes no sense in the movie
The
as
toad
is.
thing.
Yes, and I can't remember exactly the logistics of it. It's still not very clever, but the whole thing was like, at least it would have made a little bit more sense because it was like a play on, because there's like a section from what I recall, and I'm probably getting it wrong, so please forgive me. But there's a section when they first get into the Statue of Liberty, when they all split off. And that part's still in the movie, but there's like 2 or 3 different fights going on that got cut out. And there was like a fight between her and him just before that. And he says, something to her that sets that up. And I can't remember what it is exactly, but yeah, it still wasn't that great, but the whole thing got chopped up differently. So, because that whole ending I think there was even reshoots involved in that, if I remember right. So,
There probably was, but I will say this: Michael Clark Duncan wasn't the first black man to play Wilson Fisk. It was Roscoe Lee Brown.
what did he play him in?
He did the voice of
he did
Wilson
the voice.
Fisk in
Oh, that's right.
Spider-Man,
I
and
was going to
he
say
had
probably
an
one of the voices.
awesome.
Yeah.
He has an awesome voice. I love him in everything.
I actually like the Daredevil movie. I like the R-rated cut anyway, or whatever you call it,
I
the
hated
director's
it,
cut. But
Now,
have you seen the director's
Yeah,
cut?
but he had to
No,
make
I
that.
won't. I can't.
He had to make that.
Julio?
Oh, it's actually
fantastic
one of
role.
those that makes a big difference.
I've heard that many times, but I hated the movie so much. I'm not giving them any break. I didn't like the way they handled. There's no way they could make me like their version of Kingpin or Bullseye. But John Rhys Davies is the
love
first
that
guy to ever
version
play
of Bullseye.
Kingpin. By the way, I mean Wilson Fisk. By the way,
Yeah, that part's true. But I actually love that version of Bullseye. But I can respect that. But no, the director's cut is a way different version of the movie. The only downside of the director's cut. No, but
there you go.
I wish he had
He's
cut out
out.
the goddamn park scene. No, that would make it a perfect fucking.
Oh, that
they
that
didn't
park
cut it out?
scene killed
Oh,
it.
God.
That park scene
Poor
with him
man.
and
cut that out,
Jennifer Garner.
added with all the added stuff back in. Brilliant movie.
That
'Cause he's a lot
scene
more
hurt the
brutal in
movie
the
so
R-rated
much.
cut.
Yes, he is. He is a lot more brutal. I've seen it because I remember when it came out because I had heard rumors about how so much was taken out, and there's a whole subplot that involved Murdoch and Coolio. And yeah, it's like it actually I'd say it's more of a different movie than the Snyder Butt is.
No, it is. What always makes me kind of laugh is that the Marvel has, for both the Daredevil productions they've done, or for every Daredevil production they've done, they get the cowl done really, really well. But for some reason, they can never do that same justice to Batman.
Yeah.
Like they give him like the reflective mirrored eyes and the proper, like it's a properly shaped cowl and mask over Daredevil.
You know what?
And-
It's probably a
that's a good
popular
point.
opinion, but I actually like Affleck's Daredevil costume than any of the ones we've gotten in the modern show, aside from the black costume. Sorry, script.
Oh no, I like Ben Affleck's cowl a lot. I think the leather stuff is a bit much, but it's definitely far more in line than.
I just don't
what
like
he
the
did with
tactical look that Marvel goes with.
Like it. I'm glad about most costumes, dude. And I really, I think I would like the Netflix.
I call that the
show.
Batman Begins effect. Sorry. Glenn.
Yes. I was just saying, I probably would have liked that Netflix one a little bit better when he finally got the red costume in the last episode of the first season, because I can't stand the ninja stuff. If they'd have put a damn DD
part
on
of the
there,
thing though, Clobby. It's part
that's Miller retcon. And he didn't have to have the ninja outfit the whole damn.
I
season.
forget. You're such a goddamn purist.
Oh, I'm that.
They were in fan service when they brought that back.
See,
for
you gotta understand,
season
Clobby.
3.
Most people love Daredevil because
I
of
love
Frank
that show.
Miller.
Yeah, well, Frank. Yeah, but I do. For the first 16 years of his existence, before Frank Miller turned him into a ninja, he was just a superhero. Then Miller.
Yep.
But I love the Miller run. I love it.
I gotta respect the ninja aspect because, well,
No, I'm just saying. No, I hear
Ninja
you,
Turtles, I mean,
dude. I love
they're the
I love
illegitimate
Daredevil.
child of Frank Miller's Daredevil. So
I love Miller's run. I'm just saying that, and I love that TV show first season. I don't think he needed to be in that damn ninja outfit the whole.
I like that
Daredevil
outfit.
Daredevil Year One ninja. I hate it. The whole season.
The
I'm
store-bought
loving the show.
ninja outfit. Yeah,
I like it. I'm
So
sorry,
much.
I like it. I
You're
know I
allowed to like
shouldn't.
it. I can't put you in jail for liking it.
I know, but I do, and Andre does too. So at least I got somebody to back me
I liked the idea of it. I liked where it went. I think they just hung on to it a bit too long. Like, I would have been fine if they just gave us a suit like halfway through a season, because it was a long season, 13-hour plus episodes.
Yeah,
6 episodes, 6 or 7. They could have just given us a suit right then and there. We did not
if
need to have the black
they
suit.
brought in the Nobu fight more earlier into the series to justify the need for this suit, that probably would have allowed you to have more of him. But they were deliberately trying to milk what they could out of that first season.
I love that show. Don't get me wrong. I still love it. That's fine. I'm just saying that was a fanboy nitpick. I wanted the costume earlier, but it was still fine. And I wanted a DD on there. And I don't necessarily agree that with our friend there said that Miller made him better. He made a great run, his first run, and then later Born Again, which you and I, Nick, have reviewed. was of course a masterpiece. So I do love a lot of Miller. I mean,
Well, I won't like. I didn't even say it was better. I just said that's the version everybody.
No,
loves.
most
That's
So,
the
I know
version
that
you
it's.
like.
I know you're talking about somebody in the chat, but I just want to hedge that a
yeah.
little bit.
No, it's a
But-
majority of his time has been after post Miller.
Burst
Now.
Angel has sent us in a super chat for $10. Thank you. It says men go to the movies to see characters and action. Women go to the movies to see actors and love story. Henry Cavill will bring both, and Lois better have a great wardrobe and not be a B.
Wow.
Lois has always been a B, though. Let's
You
be
know what
honest.
sucks is there was tons of years where I thought that she would have made a great Lois Lane until the movie came out.
Amy Adams.
Yeah, Amy
Yeah.
Adams. I wish they just recast her now. She's
Lois
too
has
old.
always been a B. Lois is always the character has always been a B, though. I mean,
She's a stubborn pain in the butt B, but the best part is that Clark Kent as Clark Kent sometimes throws her a loop, and then she ends up getting humiliated.
As a
I remember the
and
best
humbled.
stories.
I'm a
yeah.
Lana guy myself. I love Lana more.
Yeah, because I'm with
Redhead.
script. I think he'll probably agree with me as far as like at least I know he'll agree on Lois and Clark. being
Yeah.
probably one of the best representations, and then I'll go with Kidder next. I think she just captured it just right.
Terry Hatcher's the only one I really. Well, I actually love Phyllis Coates. I know that's obscure.
Phyllis
Yeah,
Coates
she's
is
the
good, too.
prototype. She's the prototype,
And then,
definitely.
No,
She was always getting herself into fucking trouble and shit. Just so like
Yeah.
that part, yeah.
Phyllis Coates was good because she had that type of
She's-
Girl
she was-
Friday attitude to
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
And then there's No O'Neill who did it longer. You know, she was in it longer than anybody.
Oh yeah,
Phyllis Coates only did one season, but still, I love her.
but yeah, she was still good in that season. But yeah, Margot Kidder didn't get a. I mean, she only really played the character 2.5 times,
Yeah, that's
essentially.
No,
and
but
didn't
she
get a whole lot to
captured-
do with that. But she did capture the romance part of it. The problem that I always was I felt was robbed of her is that we never got to see her really be an investigative reporter.
Which we do in the Donner cut a little bit more because that's what
A
I
little
like
bit
about
more,
the
yeah.
Donner cut because that's where we really get to dive into her because that's what I loved about the two.
But that's
because-
just her investigating Clark. I want to see her investigate us.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. But at this point, it's still finally though Donner had the balls to go. You know what? She's fucking smart enough.
Yeah.
She should figure this out. And that was a whole quarter of that movie in the original version. And I liked that aspect. And it's still in the Lester version, but it's not nearly as clever and it's not nearly as
It's basically Clark just doing it deliberately to move on to the next scene as opposed to her
Yeah.
actually tricking him. But
No, and I love all that
Terry
stuff
Hatcher
in the
had the
Donner
most
cut.
to play with for Lois,
Yeah.
and her first season is probably the best representation of a character for that period of her time.
and then of
and
course
the
Lena
attitude-
Delaney as well in the series. But
Yeah, she did a
sorry.
great job. As
Yeah,
much as I love
Delaney was great in
much as I
this
hate the Lester cut, the Donner cut is is that a tough movie to think. I mean, one day we should talk about it. It's too complicated to go into here. That Donner cut is weird.
It's
That's a whole
weird, but it's
conversation,
superior.
Klobby.
I love
It is.
seeing it, but it is
They shouldn't have put the other
that ending
ending
is
on it.
really bad.
Yes, they needed.
love
They
him.
should have
I
put
love
the
her-
television ending on it, and that's what Donner's
Yeah.
first
'Cause the
initial
ending
reaction was.
negates everything that happened in both first two movies.
Yes, I agree. There should be an ultimate Donner cut where,
Yes.
and sadly he passed away now, so we won't ever
Sad.
get that. Where they recut the end of part 1 with the stuff they did for part 2,
Right.
and then leave. That means getting rid of the world turning back altogether. Period.
That's got to go.
Absolutely, yeah.
Gotta fucking go. You end it with the TV version or the kiss, one of the two. If you don't want to do the kiss,
I wouldn't
then
do
you
the kiss. I do
TV
the
version.
TV version. Yeah,
You do the
It's
TV. I
just
agree
more
with you.
somber. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's more somber. And then that way you don't have all the fucking problems. You can leave in because that's one of the reasons why it doesn't make any sense. And I agree with you, Klobby, is that
He
have
wiped
the-
the whole movie out.
not only that, you have the big fucking glaring error is that clearly Donner was the one who put in that truck stop shit.
Oh, I hate
Otherwise,
the
he
truck
wouldn't have
stop
left it
scene.
in. And the fact that he brings it back at the end makes no fucking sense after
No
he turns
sense.
back time. It just makes Clark a big dickhole.
When
Yeah.
I
They
first
should
Yeah, it
have
was
never
terrible.
even recognized him. They wouldn't even know who the fuck he was.
when I first saw
None of
the
that
Donner
makes
cut,
sense.
when I first saw the Donner cut, I was like, "How's this in here?" I thought this was Lester trash.
I
That
thought
felt
so
like Lester
too.
trash.
It feels a lot like Lester
It
trash.
does, and that's why I'm like confused as to why it's in there.
Or,
I really am.
maybe Donner, maybe it was, and Donner liked it. I don't understand.
Maybe, and they just didn't have his alternate version of it.
It's so out of character. hate
Because
that
I think
scene
you're
so
right.
much.
Because the way it's shot, it feels like a Lester version. It feels like there was
Felt
probably
Lester-y.
another version in the original.
It's too
script.
goofy to have been Donner.
See,
It had
now,
to be Lester.
script,
and he
you could
kept it in
probably,
there.
if you could find an earlier Superman 2 script and you can see
Yeah.
that.
I've got Tom Mankiewicz's entirety Superman script.
I
Superman 1 and 2
wonder
and
if that
1.
scene's still in there or not, and if it is, and if it ends differently.
Right. It had to be Lester.
Bear with me for a second. I'll pull it up now. See if I can.
If you can
But I
find it.
I really hate the Lester cut, the theatrical and TV versions, especially. Hate them. But, you know, it was still, Christopher Reeve's still so great. You kind of just, you know, you put up with it. But I remember
Well, the
walking out of
Donner
theater,
cut is damn near perfect. That's the fucking problem.
until that ending. Yeah, man.
Until that goddamn ending.
Until that goddamn ending, man.
If you wouldn't have used that ending, like that was the only thing he got hung up there, and you can tell. Because I even can overlook the because I love that scene so much that they used the tests for. But I'm so glad that they reconstructed it.
That was nice.
And I love this, all the stuff in the early part that led us down this path in the first place, you know, where she's just kind of looking at a picture of Clark and then Superman, and then she draws the hat and the tie and she kind of starts figuring it out. Like in the glasses. Yeah, like I love that bit, like that whole thing.
I do too.
It's just pure Superman, and you're like, oh, how did we not get this when I was a kid? You know,
See,
like,
that's the beauty of the
disguise.
The and that's the beauty of the disguise. It's the idea that you don't think Superman's supposed to be amongst you because you think he's Superman all the time. He just blends in with the crowd. Even Henry Cavill did a social experiment where he dressed up, you know, went around New York City. You know, he wore glasses and, you know, big glasses, and, you know, he had an unbuttoned shirt with a Superman shirt. He said not one person approached him thinking if he was Henry Cavill or hey, you look kind of like Clark Kent. Not one. And that's supposed to be the point of Superman idea. So when people say, oh, it's just a pair of glasses, they're like, people who live in that universe think he's Superman all the time. They don't think that this guy must have like a job or a regular domestic life family. They don't. That's not what you apply to Superman. You just think he just everywhere and anywhere all the time being a superhero.
He doesn't have a disbelief factor because it's like, oh, I recognize the face, but I have apprehensions and doubts that you are exactly who I think you are because you're not doing the behavior I recognize you for because you're out of place.
Clark's human life, regular life behavior was perfect because he was a lot more clumsy, and like I guess you could say he would have his blonde moments in front.
Well, that
like
was
Barry
the Christopher
White.
Reeve version, and
I
like
Clark
that.
Clark actually behaves a lot more like Superman. He just doesn't actually put himself into danger as Clark Kent. Like that's the main differentiating thing. I mean,
no, but
you can cite a number of comic books where Lois is like, I'm going to do this, and Clark's like, well, you shouldn't do that, and then she does it anyways, and Superman saves her, and Superman says, you know, you shouldn't have done that. It's like the same man, two different outfits, telling Lois the same thing. She doesn't click into it because you're awestruck by the abilities and the presence as opposed to the inverse, which is like, oh, it's just a regular guy, and that's the brilliance of him. And I did find in Tom Mankiewicz's script from March 1977 on page 207 out of a 252-page script for Superman 1 and 2.
That's it.
That's actually
Superman
not so bad
panel.
for two movies, but anyway.
That's actually, it's the trucker. The trucker says, you don't know when to lie down, do you, buddy? The trucker kicks Clark in the ribs. He collapses. With a sneer at Lois, the trucker heads off for his rig. Lois rises, her eyes filling with tears, tries to help Clark up. Oh, Clark, look at you, and so forth. Now, a lot of the lines
that's in the Donner one.
Hold on. A lot of the lines that are in Superman 2 about like I don't want a bodyguard, I want the man I fell in love with. Those are crossed out by Donner in this draft. It goes straight to Lois, like, let's just get you inside. I don't want, like, then you have the lines that are crossed out. It's like, I don't want a bodyguard, I want the man I fall in love with. Clark says, I know that, Lois, and I wish he were here. That's crossed out.
Well, see, that's fine.
It then goes straight to like General Zod and everything else, and like a lot of the lines that are in the Lester stuff are crossed out here, which means that they were planning on changing this when they got here because they never got to shoot all this stuff.
I was talking about that's what I was more referring to.
When he went back is
when he went back. Yeah, that's what shouldn't happen.
I'm still scrolling to get to that point.
Okay. Okay, so while you're scrolling, I'm going to grab Dearest super sticker. I'm sorry I didn't see what it was, Dearest, but I'm sure it's either popcorn or a thumbs up. And we appreciate that. Then SJ Shady 0169 says, I like Cavill as Superman, but could they at least write him to be less and less sad and downtrodden. Superman is supposed to be positive, inspiring character. Yes, I wish they would do that too.
Yeah, he's a mopey man. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Is I don't like the fact, especially in the Man of Steel films, that they have not found a way to differentiate Clark from Superman. It doesn't have to be, what is it, the Cary Grant version that Christopher Reeve made up, even though I like that dichotomy. But he does have to have some differential traits and stuff, because that was the beauty of Christopher Reeve's. Is it Reeve or Reeves? I always fuck that up. I'm so sorry.
Reeve.
Yeah, it's George Reeves and Christopher Reeve.
Reeve.
That's why I always fuck it up too, because I know I'm going to fuck it up anyway.
It's
but
a weird thing, really. So
yeah, I usually get it right until I second guess myself. But so like that was the thing, is he wanted to make sure that when you saw Clark as a character, that you could believe that nobody would believe he's Superman, and that's what I loved about his take, right? And you have the more traditional George Reeves take, and you have what's his face's take later on in Superman and Clark, which is a little bit more closer to the traditional Clark. But over time, like I wish Cavil would come up with something that was his own and not just Superman with clothes on. That's really what it feels like.
Maybe they'll use the Martin Pasco excuse. I know it's being very, very obscure, but he actually wrote a run in the comics in the 70s where he tried to find some dumb reason, because people were always making jokes about, hey, he's just wearing glasses, that whole thing we're all talking about here.
Mean King,
so he wrote it into the comic where his glasses were made from the glass from his Kryptonian ship, and they were accidentally giving off a hypnotic effect that he wasn't aware he was doing. And it was like, geez, because Superman, actually, for a while, there was a time, I know it's silly, it's 60s, when he had super hypnosis powers. So that's what, it's ridiculous, but Marty Pasco was a weird
did that. Okay, so I did find it. It is in the script, but here's the other part, too. Superman also resetting the Leaning Tower of Pisa to be leaning is also in the script as well.
That's in Superman 3.
And that's in Superman 3, yeah. So these are all untouched.
Well, that was because in their original version, I think instead of them just doing it in America, they were supposed to go all over the world, weren't they, and destroy shit?
They were supposed to have fought throughout the whole planet.
Yeah.
So they just repurposed that idea for the bad Superman then in 3. I see that, yeah.
But they do have this one where basically Clark, from what I'm skimming through here, it doesn't look like Superman erases Lois's mind, but in fact he flies to Italy to get a pizza and then decides, I should fix the Leaning Tower before I bring the pizza back to Lois. And then it has the shop owner seeing this and then calling him Cretano, Superman Stronoso, and other expletives. And then it ends with just Superman flying majestically home with the sun setting behind him.
So he lets Lois remember.
Lois still knows that his identity.
So there was a whole nother ending we didn't know about. Really?
But the truck stop stuff is in there, unfortunately.
Well, that's fine, because then it wraps that storyline up. That's the whole point. Is I'm fine with it being there as long as he doesn't turn back the thing. And I agree with you guys that the humor seems very Lester, and that's why I was wondering how it is in your script.
It really did.
Or in the original script that Mankiewicz wrote. I can't imagine it's that slapsticky.
Hold on, I'm still scrolling up just to try to find more.
No worries.
It was just so stupid. We can't believe it was so out of character for Donner. I can't believe he even left it in there at all in the Donner cut. It was not a good idea.
Yeah, because I'm looking here and it's like it's like the Daily Planet, Perry's office wall and whatnot is all destroyed. Camera pulls back, and then Lois sits at her desk, a blank piece of paper and her typewriter, totally confused on her face. She cocks her head. Now, what was I writing about? Just scrolling back further, maybe this would be this is the part where he flies back, rotating the world. Yeah, there it is on page 246 at the bottom. Superman continues his dazzling whirling around the Earth, which can now visibly be seen rotating in the wrong direction. So yeah, he does go back in time. But yeah, I'd cut
erases
that.
The movie.
And erases a lot. Erases everything up until Zod.
Yeah. No Zod. None of that happens.
But for some reason,
we know we're Deadpool 2.
So here's the contradiction, right? And you can tell this is an early draft. He goes back in time and erases the movie, yet the Leaning Tower of Pisa is still cocked, and he has to go back and fix it again. Like
So I guess
that doesn't make sense.
There was some contradictions, and that's probably why they were teasing.
Again, this is the March 77 draft, so this would be the draft they were using while they were shooting, because they were shooting in 75 and 76, 77.
Yeah.
3 years.
Apparently, Lester liked that leaning power thesis graph so much he carried it
He
over.
used it again, yeah.
Carried it over,
Or
yeah.
repurposed
He
it.
couldn't
or
have put it in
whatever.
the other one, yeah.
And this is the considered the shooting script. So yeah, this is the stuff that this is the main one they were using for shooting. And Tom Mankiewicz had to rewrite Mario Puzo's draft while they were shooting this.
Yeah,
Yes.
because Mario Puzo's is a mess. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But he refused to come back for the rewrites, though.
Yeah.
Not only that,
Mankiewicz
he also tried to fight to get his credit for Superman 2 and 3, and they said no, he didn't do anything on those.
Bullshit. Now it sounds like he did quite a bit for part 3.
No, Puzo.
Oh, Puzo.
Yeah. The Sal Kines were some shysters, boy. I tell you what, they were
my favorite story of Mario Puzo. I'm sure everybody here's heard this. I don't know if Klobby has though.
Yeah.
Whoever told you the story of Puzo about when he got the job for Superman?
You may have. I've heard some things, a lot of stuff about it, but I don't know. Maybe you didn't.
Because the whole thing is they wanted the guy who wrote The Godfather.
Yeah.
So they gave him a bunch of money to write Superman the movie. Here's the problem. He never wrote a script before.
He wrote the book, right?
So, even though he got credit,
book, right?
He got credit with Coppola, but he never actually did any of the writing. And that's what I love about The Offer. It makes sure to show you that.
So stupid.
This is per his own words. This is Puzo's own story. So he went to the bookstore to get some books on script writing.
Oh God!
First page, he opens it up. First thing you should do if you want to be a script writer, read the script to The Godfather. He slams the bucket foot closed.
Oh my God! That explains why
Coppola did all the typing and formatting, and then his assistant revised it.
And he went on to write a 500-page fucking story.
Wow, it's like Robert Altman using a book to write and to not have a script for MASH. Wow, that's crazy.
I always love that story. The first words are to become a screenwriter. First things first, read the script to The Godfather.
See, that's what I would love to see the Offer version of the making of Superman, because you would have some great drama.
Absolutely.
With Donner and the Saul Kines fighting each other, and then Lester weaseling his way in to finish the productions and getting them out there. And just having that moment at the beginning with Puzo, like, I better learn how to write a script because Coppola's not returning my calls. And then he just sees that book.
It feels like you could make a series out of the making of every Superman movie. Like you could do season-long shows on all of them, because it's always a story just to get these movies made. With
Call
Superman,
it Making a Man Fly.
You'll believe a man can fly. We can make a man fly or something like that. Yeah.
Who was worse, the Sal Kines or Dino De Laurentiis? Well, the Sal Kines were, but he was still pretty bad.
Oh, Dino was just nuts.
Dino,
here's the thing I hear about Dino, and this is a commonality between all the retrospectives we've done and anything I've heard about him. Dino was a dream to work for when you were directing the movie, making the movie, shooting the movie, all that shit. He'd give you all kinds of money. You had everything you could need in the world. The moment the movie was done shooting, he would take control. That's what it usually sounds like. That's the common denominator in every one of these stories.
He was a nut.
And not only that, he would turn around and he would always sell the movies to television as like 2 movies, so he would pad them out so they could have to show them over 2 nights, so he would get double the income for them.
And he cast Sam J. Jones because his wife was attracted to him because he was on the dating game. Flash Gordon, for God's sake.
He was a nut job, that's for sure. He let his daughter produce fucking Conan the Destroyer and Dune and other shit too. I mean, not that she was a bad producer. I mean, she was all right, but again, same kind of thing. Made sure that everybody had what they needed on the set, but as soon as they get in the cutting room, then they take the control away from the director. Usually, it sounds like. Because Dino was one of those, going back to a conversation I had earlier with Mr. H, and I wish you were there script to hear, because you could have got in there and jumped in on the whole thing, because we were kind of going, we didn't get into a fight, but we were a little bit of back and forth about the 3-hour version of the Batman. I'm like, no, they need more harder stipulations. Like, there's no reason a movie needs to be that long.
No,
they could have cut it down.
That movie.
But he's like asking who had stipulations for a movie to be 2 hours. I'm like, well, Warner used to do that all the time. Like they were hardcore. Movie does not go more than 2 hours.
The stipulation came from how many showings can you get in a day. In fact, you can go to The Offer and very much listen to The Colin Hanks's
Yeah.
character will talk about the litigation. Like that's how it's been since the 50s. It's like how
Well, they
many
have an
screens
whole
can we get it
episode
on?
about it.
Yeah.
Remember? Because
How
they
many
do
screens, how
the
many
cut,
times a day? That makes our money. Yeah.
the 2-hour cut of The Godfather and how it destroyed the movie.
Yeah.
I would love to see that just for like historical reasons or whatever you want to call it, just out of pure curiosity, just to see how bad it is.
Yeah, it would be something. But again, it's the rule, but there can be exceptions, and it usually comes. The exceptions are always dictated by the most experienced and experienced filmmaker. And Coppola had a good number of credits under his belt before he did Godfather.
Well, and there's other reasons to that, and this is something I wish they would have hit on a little bit more in the offer, because we talk about it usually when they bring it up when they talk about the cinematographer, because he shot it that way so nobody else could fuck with it. That was kind of the way that Coppola shot the movie. He shot it the way it was so nobody could fuck with it. Like, he knew what was going to be in that movie for the most part, and he knew what he needed to make it work. So he made sure he had everything he needed. It was when they come in and they just turn it into this 2-hour mess. So like he kind of went in, he did a lot of pre-editing from the book is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's
Although he did so much extensive planning on this that it could only have come his way.
And that's the way the whole movie was kind of shot, from his angle, from Ruddy's angle, from the cinematographer's angle, all their angles. They knew, because they knew that this was going to be one of those things that could be taken away from them at any time. And so they did a lot of that shit on purpose, with the expressed idea that nobody can do this other than this way, and it's not going to work otherwise. So,
indeed,
yeah.
And it's a heck of a thing to gamble for, because you are not 100% certain that is going to actually work out the way you plan it when no matter how much details you prepare for. But yeah, the precedent is that you shouldn't really need more. Like an hour 45 to 2 hours is your sweet spot for your action adventure superhero type films.
Yeah.
When you go over that, you're playing with fire, and not often are you able to really pull that off successfully.
Yeah, Luca, this might be the only thing you'd have to worry about is the Selkines family, maybe.
Yeah, I remember I went to see those 3 Musketeers and went to see the 4 Musketeers and didn't know they were supposed to be one movie. But back when it came out in the 70s, and that's one of the things that Lester did that. That was one of the things that they got in trouble for, trying to, split a whole one movie into 2 and pay people for
that's
one
what they
movie.
did to Donner on Superman.
They did to Donner and
they're like, "I'll give you $1 million," and he's like, "Okay," and he's like, "It's 2 movies." Really,
huh?
So that's $500,000 a movie.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's $1 million. He's like, no, it's $500,000. No, $1 million. Like I could write a good joke thing back and forth between Donner telling him like what it is and the Selkins trying to hide from it.
Right.
Crazy stuff, dude.
Was there anything major otherwise? I mean, we talked about
there
all
was,
the
but there was time.
Well, I mean, they're trying to push through another Superman film with Cavil, but
yeah, we talked about that.
I don't think you're going to get any sort of inclination if that's going to happen or not until Halloween.
Probably. I was thinking December, actually, script. We'll find out.
Well, I'm thinking once they get the numbers and the Gen Pop reception to Black Adam, that's going to determine what direction they're going to go. It's also going to, I would not be surprised if Black Adam doesn't perform well, that we get another set of additional photography and reshoots and rewrites for The Flash and for Aquaman. And any talks about Henry Cavill as Superman might be tempered for a little bit until they actually find a director and writer to helm the project that is going to, quote unquote, relaunch DC films, because they'll probably have to do it with Superman. They won't be able to do it with any other character.
Yeah, and that's why I trust my sources a little bit more than a lot of the hype out there, because they are very reserved when they tell me stuff. Like, I see a lot of people, I understand certain outlets have certain biases and whatnot, let's say, but at the same time, a lot of people are like, oh, this is a done deal, this is a done deal. Like, I know people have been talking about Henry Cavill showing up in Black Adam for a while, let's say, but that did not happen until fucking September, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I've heard that from multiple sources now, and even Mr. H backed me up on that one today. And I know he's got a very good source at Warner Brothers. So, like, or within the vicinity, let's say. I don't know for sure what it is, but I'm just saying, like, point being, at this point, I heard that there is no done deal. It is definitely on the table. They're in negotiations. The only other update I got was on the Flash, and I think I said a little bit of that the other day. And that was just basically, that Warner they're just trying to get this fucking over with. They just want to get this over with and done with so they can move on from this kid, because he's going to be nothing but a problem going forward. He didn't take the help they offered him. He is getting help now. I don't know how much of that is under Warner's purview, though.
I doubt
That's
it.
the
I
thing.
doubt they're
See?
even associated with it. They're
Exactly.
just probably being told, yeah, he's getting help, and Warner's like, well, we want to see who this help is. No.
Mhm. And I think, Script knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, so because he knew, his people knew, and he knew probably more directly that if Warner's was in control of this, they were going to be watching his every fucking move. In this case, he's taking control of himself. It could be a good thing for him, but I don't see it ending well. Script is usually pretty dead on when we're due for some Ezra news. So I don't think he's going to go to jail over this thing in Vermont. I think his lawyers are playing the long game on that one. He's already paid his way out of a lot of other things, so I think he's safe from jail, but I think his reputation has been, I'm pretty sure that the higher ups at this point are well aware of what his reputation is, and he doesn't have very many friends left at Warner Brothers, let's say, and one is leaving this week. So let's put it that way. And
I mean, this is going to be an interesting fall and winter for Warner Brothers, because I think they're not going to see the numbers they want. That's just my suspicion. I think they're already regretting not having dropped the Flash at the beginning of the year like they initially.
Well, I don't think they can, and I think that's the same reason they're releasing that stupid fucking House Party movie. I'm not kidding. I think that is stuck into a deal with what's his face from Space Jam, LeBron, since he's one of the producers. So I think they have to release it. Them bumping it up to theaters, I think, just had to do with the fact that they didn't have anything else, and it'll probably play well in the cities. And it didn't probably cost that much, so it's probably a win-win in that respect. But I don't see it doing anything worth a shit. But other than that, like, my eye right now, my spotlight is on Mike DeLuca, because I have a lot of faith in him, but he's got to show me that he's going to do what he needs to do to make Warner Brothers successful. I don't know much about Pam Abdi. She's worked with him for a while.
She's been with him for almost 20 years.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know anything much about her script. I know she was part of the team. Evidently, she must have been.
She's part of the team. I think she started as his assistant. She's had a handful.
I was just going to say, I think I knew him as his assistant, but that was it.
Input with some of his more prominent productions that he's done on his own prior to coming to Warner Brothers. Like, they've been a pair for I think they've been a pair as producers for at least 5 years. I know that. So yeah, I mean, and they have an okay track record. I think they'll be fine, but again, it depends on what's the environment like at Warner Brothers, and also within where they came from. Is it how far away is it from what Disney's been doing for the last 5 years and what Paramount's been doing for the last 5 years? I don't know. I really don't know what the attitude is, because unfortunately, I haven't been able to go to California over the last 3 years because of this damn pandemic.
No, and I understand.
And what I hear is always secondhand.
I understand your frustration, Script, especially in the latter part. But
Yeah.
But no, like I see Mike he was a big part of New Line. He was a big part of why it was successful. I remember that was a name that when we talked to Robert, he brought up quite often. He was a name I was well aware of before that. He's somebody that I've said for years, how the fuck did Toby Emmerich get that job and not Mike DeLuca is beyond me. There's even a couple other people within that company that I would have picked way before Toby. But if anybody is listening within that vicinity and they're hearing me, I'm just going to say, I'm watching right now. I'm watching and hoping Mike DeLuca makes the right moves for the company, and Zaslav as well. I'm a little more confident in Zaslav just because of the people that I've talked to that are closer with him, that kind of know his agenda and what he's up to.
And how quickly he likes to drop bad product.
Yes.
Just get it rid of it. It's done.
And a lot of the time how he's really good at keeping things quiet on what he's going to do. Because the latest I've heard is that he's going to make some big moves. Some of them are not going to make much sense to us on the front end. Some of them will make complete sense because they'll be right in line with what we've been talking about. But I've been just told to just trust in the idea that he has the right intentions ahead of him. He wants to make Warner Brothers the company it was years ago when it was known for the entertainment side of things. When, yes, DC is a big deal to him, but he's also well aware that there's a lot of other IPs and other things to dive into. He wants DC first and foremost to be that funnel of money, capital, so they can borrow on that to do these other projects.
Well, yeah, I mean, he wants to. The rumor has is that again, Warner Brothers has first distribution rights for the Lethal Weapon 5 that Mel Gibson's doing, and he wants to make sure that there's some cash and resources there for that. And rumor has it's going to be dedicated, of course, to the memory of Richard Donner and so forth. But yeah, that's going to be the next IP that Warner Brothers has to release. That's of Warner Brothers. That's not related to a comic book or superhero tentpole thing. And that's we should be hearing something about that hopefully by February.
I would imagine so. And with that, unless there was anything else that you guys can think of that came out today as far as news that was worth discussing, I mean, I think we covered everything.
Is there any super chats that were left to be addressed?
I think, unless I missed any, let me look. We had a super sticker from Darius. That's still hanging there. I don't think there was any new ones.
I didn't see there's not been any. I've been keeping track as well.
I think I kept up with them pretty well tonight. Yeah, SJ Shady was the last one. So, yeah, no, I think we covered everything. Nick, I forgot to pre-sell what you're doing tonight on Toxic Tuesday because I'm going to try and stop in, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. But okay. I love the film.
No worries.
It is a John Carpenter classic, one of my favorites of his.
They live, man. I mean,
if script is there, then you'll be plenty of
with Meg Foster and her beautiful eyes.
Mm-hmm. I love that movie.
Yes, Bryant, Mel Gibson is supposed to be directing and starring in it.
Yes, he is.
And Renee Russo's already said she's coming back, and
I think pretty much everybody.
Glover.
I think they had a lot of everybody pretty much agree to it before Donner even signed on to it back in the day, and then
they're even getting that character actor who played the Bomb Squad guy. He was also the German in the Avengers film that spoke.
Well, that's one thing.
Oh man,
that's one thing that Donner is adamant about and has always been adamant about these movies is he tries to get every single person back he can
to play even the same role too. That's the other part too.
Mm-hmm. His wife was in him before she passed, and of course, his buddy. They played Murphy.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I just know that he's supposed to be directing. As far as I know, pretty much everybody has signed on. I think I even heard Joe Pesci.
Well, even Danny Glover.
I think he would go on first. He loved that role. He would definitely do it again.
Oh yeah, he would.
I haven't heard Pesci yet, but if he does return, that's.
I thought I heard something. Maybe that was something I wasn't supposed to say, but.
Getting go Pesci, get more
as far
Pesci.
As I know, like all the cast is back, so like this is supposed to be a pretty done deal. Like as soon as
hope it is. Like they're gonna make it count.
It was kind of this promise, I guess, that Gibson made Donner because Donner knew that he wasn't doing the best.
Well, he's in his 90s.
Yeah, so like I guess there was like some little conversation or something between the two of them that. He was like, if this doesn't pan out, like, you make sure this gets done kind of thing.
Well, if there's one thing, like, listen, Mel Gibson learned how to direct because of Richard Donner. Like, the whole reason Gibson makes good movies as a director is because of Richard Donner. I mean... I
can agree with that. And, well, he worked with George Miller, too, but yeah.
He did work with George Miller as well, but, like, he did more movies, I think, with Donner than Miller. That's the...
Technically, yes, he did 3 with Miller, I believe, or did they do 4 together? I'm trying to think. Did they do another one besides any of the Max movies?
But Donner and
Donner and Gibson have done 5-6 movies together?
At least 5.
So they did the Lethal Weapon, then Maverick, and then didn't he have something to do with like one of his other movies too? I swear. It's not Forever Young. It was another one in that era. I don't know if he directed it, but I think he was like a producer or something on it. I can't remember now.
Hmm.
Somebody will know in the chat probably, but
Could
yeah. Mecha J says
Conspiracy Theory. That was
Conspiracy Theory. That's it. Yes,
No,
thank
that's
you.
his honor
Oh
movie.
wow, forgot
Yes,
about that.
I keep
movie.
forgetting about that movie. And that was a damn good movie too.
It was
yeah,
a
Patrick
damn
Stewart
great
in that one as
movie.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, well, of course I know the reason. Warner Brothers hasn't given any of Mel's movies love in the last 20 fucking years. That's why. They barely got a fucking Blu-ray set for the Lethal Weapon movies.
I know.
And they weren't even the
that's-
director's cuts, which is the biggest pisser of them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that the director's cut is that great, but it's like they were the DVD versions I had for years, so I got used to watching those versions. So now I like watch. I'm like, oh wait, that's right, that's in the
Yeah.
yeah. And it gives a little bit more, especially the first one gives a little bit more to Riggs as far as like his whole thing. So the depression part. Mecha J says Alan Moore has recently came out against the HBO Watchmen show. Unsurprising, he hates it. Doesn't Alan Moore hate everything?
Actually, what happened
Couple years
was
late on
they
that.
just come out with an article. I know what he's talking about. There's an article today where that idiot Lindelof, one of those Jar Jar Abrams acolytes, the guy, the
Damon
idiot
Lindelof, yep.
who made this show, sent a letter to Alan Moore, basically kind of just saying to him, "No, I'm the bastard that's ruining your thing on HBO." Like he's trying to be funny, I guess, trying to get his approval, trying to kiss his ass. He said he sent him a letter, and Alan Moore basically wrote back. He says, "I don't give a shit. I already told Marvel and DC, not even, people like in the comics industry, everybody leave me alone. I appreciate it if you wouldn't contact me again." And he elaborated. He didn't give a crap. He doesn't care about Watchmen anymore. He doesn't like anyone's take on it. And yeah, so this was an article that came out today, and basically he just told Lindelof he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't know why they keep trying to get this like validation.
Dragging him out.
He was the same way with Snyder with the Watchmen 2009. He was the same way about V for Vendetta. It's not like he's being exclusive to them about the HBO cut. He doesn't like any of these things being adapted. He does not like any of it. And that's just business as usual. It's like water's wet, the sky is blue. Spider-Man 6 walls. Alan Moore hates his adaptations.
He also hates the original work too. He's pretty much disavowed most of it.
Oh yeah, he doesn't
Listen, I've read for
that point.
Vendetta. I would hate it too if I wrote it.
I don't agree with you there. I love some. He's done some brilliant comics, and I love him, even though he's nuts.
It's what I think he hates what it caused. I think he hates what it caused. I mean, I don't truly believe he needs what he says. I think he hates the
he does.
That's true. Even Dave Gibbons admits that it caused problems.
Oh, it did cause.
It did.
That's an old debate.
That's a whole other conversation to go down a well for another day.
That's like Comic Talk Shop episode 100.
Yeah, right.
To think I once wanted to write a book about all of his best his 80s and 90s stuff. Glad I didn't know.
Yeah. Do you ever think about doing a show, or have you done a show yet on?
I did a show on the career
Crumb?
of Alan Moore. Oh, our Crumb?
Yeah.
No, other than he's a crumb bum scumbag. That's all you need to know about him. An absolute piece of trash.
Oh, you met him before? Or?
No, watch his documentary and tell me. And
yeah, I know. That. Later on in life, I think he really kind of.
The guy was horrible.
He realized he was a complete fucking. I don't know if you've seen any of his later interviews, but
oh no.
Oh yeah, he realized how much of a dickhole he was later.
Wow, he and his brother were both really rotten.
Yeah. I love Fritz the Cat, and maybe even it's just to spite him. I like the movie's better than his version anyway. And actually, even more removed. I like 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat even more than the first one. So
I hear you.
And I think he hates that one from my recollection. Like he dislikes the first one, but I think he really hates the second one. So
unless he
to
changed,
me, the second one's the better one.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I always said
he was a miserable, you know what?
He did, from what I heard, he changed. From what it seemed like in the interview, like he did kind of come to the terms with knowing how much of a creep he was, and all that kind of shit. So
it's a fair comp.
And he even talked about the reasons why he did some of the art. Like he really seems like he's had like a lot of fucking therapy, to be honest with you. The way he was talking, like he was really getting deep into like the whole like he wasn't like disassociating himself from his art, but he was like talking about how embarrassed he was about certain things he would do, and like he really understands now why he did certain things in his art, and that he shouldn't have, or why he was doing those things, and he understands like that kind of thing now. Like it was really weird because I seen him. Maybe if I stumble across it again, I'll send it to you. But it was kind of like one of those interviews. It's like, I don't think the guy's as much of a creep as I used to now. But I mean, he's still a jerk. He's still a weirdo. And yeah, I've seen the documentary. But
did he move to France?
I don't know about that part. I don't think he talked about that at all. But he did talk about like all his classic art and his objectification of women and how he treated, how it was just kind of him working out his own personal shit. And, so yeah, it did sound like he got a lot of shrinking.
Gotcha. Oh wow.
So maybe it did him some good. So
no, I hope so. Moore's off the deep end now. So,
but that doesn't necessarily forgive him for all his past sins. So I will. But see, I'm one of those individuals, so I can usually separate the art from the individual unless they're real devious fucking people. Then I can't.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to be, man. That's the way to be.
Like, I mean, even Bill Cosby's a tough one to this day, right? Like I cannot. He's one of the where that line is drawn, I guess. I can't really listen to him anymore, but I still say, yeah, he wrote some of the greatest comedy bits in history. You can't take that away from him. So.
Sure. Oh yeah.
But Jack White sends in another super chat, and it also reminds me we have those trailers we could watch real quick. To be fair, the reason Damon did Wokeman was because of the Certain Race Baiters essay about reparations for slavery. Yeah, it seemed like that's all they were hung up on in that. I didn't watch it, so I can't really comment.
It was quite atrocious.
I heard it was
actually
bad.
There's a lot to learn from it about how bad it is because
it is truly horrific.
It's typical Damon Lindelof. Like this is the guy who kind of helped Ridley Scott with his Prometheus stuff, make it even worse. God, yeah,
it was so bad. Oh, good Lord.
He is. I mean, we do have, there's eight writers, directors we know for sure that should never be working in the industry again.
He's four of them.
He's definitely in them, yeah.
I see you guys are saying it's slow news. It wasn't so much a slow news day. We just hit the news real quick. I mean, it wasn't like.
And then we went on a long.
Well, there was that She-Hulk stuff, but I don't think you want to go in there. It'd take too long.
Touched on that so goddamn much. We got a video.
Interview with you got an interview.
We don't have the one about the sex stuff about the show being the horniest show.
The one with the trolls and the fans.
Technically, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones had the most sex of Marvel.
And I tell you what, White Knight, I want to avoid too many copyright claims here. So we'll watch one of these, and it looks like it's got robots in it. So let's do that one.
Robots, yay.
How's that sound, Jack?
I appreciate
it. I would watch them all, but I would do a lot more video stuff if we wouldn't get in trouble for it. I'm more worried about getting struck down than anything.
I hear you.
I thought I almost heard Peter Cullen for a second here, too, so that's always a plus.
Universal Century 0079. As the one-year war rages on, mass production of Gundam mobile suits has begun. This awesome technology is now given to Federation pilots. The power of a Gundam. In the jungles of Southeast Asia, Ensign Shiro Amada commands a squad of these giant suits.
All units ambush formation. Give it everything you got. This is getting fun now.
Meanwhile, the Principality of Zeon is developing its own secret weapon. Opsimus, a ship with the power to destroy entire cities.
Gabriel's destroyed.
Its pilot, Aina Sahali, forms the second half of an unlikely alliance.
You want to kill yourself? You wanted to fight? Well,
as Zeon and Federation forces march towards oblivion, the secret love of two enemies may be mankind's only hope for peace.
Our forces will not be intimidated. Now do you see the vision?
Gundam 8th MS Team premieres Monday, July 23rd at midnight. Dig in. Only to Mommy.
Wow, it looks like Romeo and Juliet with giant robots. I guess I can get
Yeah,
behind
I've
that.
actually I've got that series on DVD in my living room.
There you go.
I got like 20 years of Gundam from the 70s to the mid 90s.
Yeah, I know Gundam's
A lot
pretty
of Gundam
popular.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goddamn, Gundam's popular.
Yes,
Jack White says Damon apparently worshipped the race baiter stuff. Oh yeah, he's a JJ acolyte. That's what they're all about.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He sure is.
That's
Optimus
their
Prime,
fetish.
is that you? Yes, it was.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, don't sound too excited, guys. Yeah, I know. Well, you know, it's late.
We're just casual. It's Tuesday,
I've
man.
edited two videos today, done 3 shows.
The
And
energy will be
recorded
on
an
Toxic
interview.
Tuesday.
And
Believe
recorded
me.
an interview. And we got Toxic Tuesday, and I'm going to try to show up for that if I even have the gas. And then Jack White says, there's one for the Rurouni Kenshin I would like you to react to. All right, one more. And that's, I don't want to push it too far. Because I know some of these anime things can really be dicks about the copyright claim stuff.
Oh, I can imagine.
And Andre's been bugging me about some of that stuff lately too. Except for he didn't mind me letting. I had the girls react to that.
The
to
Beavis and Butthead stuff.
Yeah, they like that, and so did Andre. He's like that. That is like a necessity or something. I can remember how he put it. He was like, or that was a necessary sacrifice. That's what it was.
Japan, 1867. The Tokugawa dynasty stands upon failing legs. An invincible samurai, Kenshin Himura, walks the path of death and destruction, ushering in a new regime. Hated and feared by many, he is known as Hidokiri Batosai, the Manslayer. In retribution for his deeds, he has
I knew a
taken an
chick
oath
called
to
that.
protect the innocent and never kill again.
The Manslayer.
They
Yeah.
seldom fade, and bad habits die hard.
What are you, another one of these samurai? I wasn't finished speaking.
Rurouni Kenshin premieres Monday, March
I'm
17th,
glad Peter Cullen has something to do.
only to Nami.
Only Toonami.
That memorable voice.
Nicholas Horton says Gundam is great. Mecha anime and Tom, I recommend watching the anime Fate Zero, followed by Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works.
That's a
I
long
will
title.
try. I don't have a lot of time, but I will do my best. Roll out. And then it looks like, oh, you finally dropped your trailer, Yeti? Let me see if I can bring that up.
I
here.
will be watching that.
Oh yeah.
Let me see what he's got for us. I seen some of it before. I think if it's the one I think it is. Why don't I? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Tim Michaels' company has been sued numerous times
Okay.
for sexual
Who's Tim
assault
Michaels?
and harassment. Women
He's somebody
said
in
they were
Wisconsin.
groped and pressured to have
Oh,
sex
so it's
with
a political ad.
They're trying to lecture you, Tom.
Is
Oh
it
no,
the
it's the
kind of
United
advice
States.
or
It's somebody for.
what you
Oh
want
yeah,
as governor?
for Wisconsin.
Strange, isn't it? How one object could be responsible for creating so much beauty.
Are you acquainted with the work of Lord Celebrimbor?
The greatest of elven smiths, of course. Why do you ask?
We've decided that you will be working with him.
I tell you, this could be the beginning of a new era for our people. Strength, prosperity. Tell me, do you not think it's a coincidence that an elf should just land on our doorstep? Now,
He's grown too old, too suspicious, his mind too feeble.
it's more than we ever imagined.
You want it for yourself. Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
Well, that looks infinitely more interesting than what we got.
Oh God, yeah. Right? Based out of that perspective, it's just the way you look at it.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to wrap up this puppy. I don't think there was anything else. I know you got to be getting out of here anyway.
I do.
Yeah. So, Nick, Toxic Tuesday starts in what?
25 minutes, sir. They Live. I mean, if you haven't seen They Live, I don't know what happened in life. I mean, definitely a movie that
kick ass.
Carpenter has admitted himself is more accurate now than it was then. That's saying a lot because it was accurate then.
What's scary is how it's flipped, because then it was a comment on
absolutely
Reagan era.
Yeah, he was wrong back then. It was a good movie that he was absolutely wrong about who he was aiming it at. Now it's right.
Now it's right. Yeah. No, now we're living.
He wouldn't say that now. But
no, he wouldn't. But it's still a great movie, and I can't wait to talk about it. It's be fun. So yes, that's what's going to be going on. Of course, I got the comic shop show as well on Friday night to do. Clawby is a part of that. We're actually going to be talking some spooky comics this week. Werewolf by Night, Tomb of Dracula. So that's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to that. And of course, you can find me here yelling at Park Cars. And I got a review on the new Stripe album coming. So yeah, that's what I got on my side of YouTube this week. Tom, thank you for having me. And always good to hang out with you, Script, Culture. So yeah, and of course 70s. So chat, thank you for being here. Come hang out on Toxic Tuesday. Shout out to the mods. All right, we'll be seeing you shortly on TT. Thank you for having me, Tom.
Nice.
And Script, you got any video gaming coming up or anything?
Probably on Thursday. I got to go grocery shopping tomorrow, so I can't do anything that morning. And I got a consult, and
I was supposed to go grocery shopping today, but I didn't get to it. All the shit I was doing. And Claudia, I know you have a slew of things coming up.
Well, yeah, tomorrow night I think we're gonna have the comic book roundtable at 7 Central on the Loki's channel this week, but he hasn't told me different. I think so, and then tomorrow night in the second hour of my Wild Card Wednesday show, the great Andy Masterson's supposed to drop by. Indeed. Then Thursday night, Raquel and I will have the clubhouse, but unfortunately, our good buddy Mark D won't be able to make it as he usually does. But we'll be doing that, and then Friday night at Nick's at the comic shop, and then Saturday night Star Trek 9 p.m. Central. Of course, we're just now starting on season 3 of Deep Space Nine, reviewing 4 episodes.
All right,
and thanks for having me.
Of course, and also check out Culture Casino's channel. Anybody have anything else to add before we head on out? No. All right. With that, kids, hit the like button on the way out the door if you haven't already, and tip your waitress, and we will catch you on the morning show.
Good night, everybody.